What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. I need you to note this video wore me out. You hear me say this a lot about pieces that I do, and this is another one of those. This wore me out. This video production began in the wee hours last night. Well, in the wee hours of Sunday. Yeah. Sunday into Monday. Then I fell asleep after sunup, and then I began working on it again in the morning of Monday. As I add this addendum to the front of it, I need you to know it is almost Monday evening. I'm over it. But I don't waste your time, everybody. I always tell you. And I'm here for exactly the reasons that I say, and my work backs that up. The only reason why I would torture myself and put in all these hours, because what you see on the screen is just a portion of the process. A production, there's more to it than just what you see, the finished product. There's more than that. Plus there's post-production, plus there's editing and all that, and adding sound and graphics and all that, and music. It's a lot of work, but I do it out of my love and my desperate passion for my people and wanting us to be in a different mental space, a different spiritual space, a different character space. And that, I pray to the Creator, will lead us into a day of liberation and freedom and action. That is why I toil the way that I do. I remind you, you don't need to sit for the entire piece. You can watch it in parts. You can take a month to watch it. You can do whatever you want. You just consume the information at your own convenience. I've done my work. I've done my work. And as you go through this piece, you will understand why it is so long. Because we can't just deal with the subject matter at hand, we have to deal with its tentacles as well. There's more to an octopus than just the main body. And I need you to be in that frame of mind as you pursue the information in this piece. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. And the air conditioner in my house is on the fritz. So most of the times you see me on camera, I am burning up. I need you to know that. But I have no regret. Absolutely no regret. I'll see you soon. What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. First, I want to shout out Marcus. Marcus, you are a lion. You are a lion. And I thank you for your contribution to the channel and your participation. I greatly appreciate that. Yesterday in the live stream, you guys, meaning Saturday, Marcus mentioned, had I heard that they were reopening the investigation
into the death of Emmett Till, and I had no idea what he was talking about because it's Emmett Till, it's a long time ago, and I thought that was completely over, and I just hadn't heard anything, and I'm over it. So I said, well, send me something, like I just let me know. So he actually shared two links that we're gonna explore in this video. But I went ahead and added some more meat and potatoes to it, um, because in any subject matter that I'm covering here on the channel, everybody, I never allow myself to be so arrogant or foolish as to think that everybody under the sound of my voice knows and is up to speed on whatever it is we're talking about. Such is the case with this. So I needed to bring some more meat and potatoes and carrots to put with this, just so that we can make sure that everybody leaves here educated about Emmett Till, who he was, and what happened. So I've sourced several videos that I'm going to be sharing with you that will bring you up to speed on who he is, what happened, introduce you to some of his family members, etc., etc. Anyway, so this is the first piece now. U.S. reopens Emmett Till investigation almost 63 years after his murder. The thing that's maddening about this is that right now, today, just this minute that I'm sitting here speaking to you, I could do a search and find a plethora of events that have been perpetrated against African people by whites right now, today. Right now. There'll be no shortage of it. You understand? This is a problem. This is a problem. This is a problem. And so that when we speak, and I've said this before, but when we speak about historical events, we're just using that as a time stamp. That's it. We're not buying into or connoting that it is historical. It's just a time stamp. That's it. Because indeed, the oppression, the harassment, the genocide, the vitriol, the hate from white people against Africans is one line from 1619 till today. It never ended. It never ended. It never ended. All right. It's very important to understand that, because I always tell you, how you think and speak about anything is how you relate to that. We also, as it relates to this piece, certainly this investigation, we want to ask that magic word that comes out of the mouth of every child. Why? Why? Why is there an investigation? You see? Because we know that this government has no love for African people. No love, no sympathy. Don't give a damn about us. And so what is their provocation now for reopening this investigation? Again, that magic word, why? 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 So let us begin. Now this is from the 12th of July. The federal government has quietly revived its investigation into the murder of Emit Till, the 14-year-old African boy whose abduction and murder remains almost 63 years later amongst the starkest and most searing examples of white violence in America. We don't say racial violence in the South. We say white violence in America, because that most accurately states it. Again, how you think and speak about anything is how you relate to that. We reject that all the white races just were back then and that they only lived in the South. We reject that. It is now and it's all over. You understand? Always has been. The Justice Department said that, and by the way, if that weren't true, everybody, what is this? I'm not doing it. Anyways, if that weren't true, then we would have heard about, um, then everybody would have just gone anywhere other than the South. Just anywhere. Just anywhere. And it would have been like going to paradise and it would have been the utopia. You understand? But that wasn't the case. It was all over and still is. You could do a Google search and you could find some act of bullshit from white people against Africans anywhere in this nation right now, in all 50 states. That I promise you. You see, we always hear white people saying, we have to have a conversation, we have to have a conversation. No, there can't be a conversation because conversation requires acknowledgement. And the reason why we're still in this predicament today is because A, they haven't stopped the bullshit that they pull, and that they have not acknowledged and they won't acknowledge. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. And it's not just individuals, it's the entire system. This is why you've never had a public apology for slavery even. You see? Because it never ended. How are you going to apologize for something that hadn't ended? Or if you apologize, that means you got to end something that's ongoing. And we know that slavery never ended. It just took on a different incarnation. That's it. We'll just make them think they're free. But everything else will remain in place. The Justice Department said that its renewed inquiry, which is described in a report submitted to Congress in late March, was, quote, based upon the discovery of new information. I also want to say this, the Justice Department is what they're citing here. All right. Well, Jeff Sessions, there's a star, is the head of the Justice Department. And he is from Alabama, if memory serves me. Emit Till was killed in Mississippi. So why? And we know that Jeff Sessions it's hard to say he's the biggest racist because that suggests that there's one that's more than the rest. We'll just use the term anyway. But he is an acknowledged, not by himself, but he is an acknowledged racist. Why on earth, there's that word, would he give a damn about a 14-year-old African boy that was murdered 63 years ago? Let us contemplate that. Do you see? So, our challenge then going forward as we read this is to see if it reveals the why of it all. That's going to be the most important thing I suggest to you. All right. It's not clear. It is not clear, though, whether the government will be able to bring charges against anyone. Wait, look at this now. Look at this. This is the New York Post. I always tell you, there's a writer, a publisher, and an editor. Nothing ends up on a page by accident. You understand? And everything is purposeful. They know exactly what they're doing. But look how this is written. We just finished. It's based on new information. Period. That was the end of a quote. Now, period. Here's your next sentence. It's not clear, comma, though, comma. Think about that. It's not clear, comma, though, comma, whether the government will be able to bring charges against anyone, semicolon. Now, so, let's read it the way it's written. It's not clear, though, whether the government will be able to bring charges against anyone. They're setting you up for the bullshit. And plus the way they just wrote that and stated it. And by the way, if it's not clear whether they'll be able to bring charges against anyone, then again, there's that why again that keeps creating itself. then what's the provocation for this? Is this just to piss off African people? That's a plausible one. Absolutely. But let's go on after the colon here now. All right. It's not clear, though, whether the government will be able to bring charges against anyone. Most episodes investigated in recent years as part of a federal effort to re-examine racially motivated murders have not led to prosecutions, or even referrals to state authorities. So again, we say why. We say why. The Justice Department declined to comment on Thursday. You see, that we know that evil is afoot. First of all, because it's not us. That's first. So we know that immediately evil is at play. That's standard. But here's the thing. One of the things that we always observe when it comes to any of their shit, but we'll talk about the Justice Department right now. They do their evil, and then there's no comment. You see, the Justice Department declined, not wasn't available or couldn't be reached. No. The Justice Department declined to comment on Thursday, but it appears that the government had chosen to devote new attention to the case after a central witness, Carolyn Bryant Doham, which is the lying whore, recants. So we'll start again. But it appeared that the government had chosen to devote new attention to the case after a central witness, the lying whore, recanted parts of her account of what transpired in August of 1955. The two men who confessed to the murder of Emit, only after they had been acquitted by an all-white devil jury, are dead. So think about this now. Excuse me. And by the way, when they say, because the whore recanted, but this is why I'm going to give you a puzzle piece right now. You know how I always tell you sometimes you can have a piece of a puzzle and you don't know you're having it. You don't know that you possess it until something else happens. You go, oh, and then you realize you have a piece. Well, here's what I'm about to give you. Every time we hear the Emit Till case talked about, no one's ever clear. He whistled at her. He catcalled her. He grabbed her. You see? It's never, you see? So you just went, that's right, huh? And now we know why. Because of the lying whore. All right? And then, of course, the two devils that confessed to it only after they had been acquitted, they're dead now. All right? Read about the lying whore linked to the 1955 murder of Emit Till. Well, we're going to see videos. I've got several videos, like I said, queued up for you. All right. Yet the Till case, in fact, we'll read this article, then we'll break to at least one video, maybe two, then we'll finish, then we'll do the other article, and we'll go back to video. All right. That's our evil plan. All right. Yet the case, which staggered the nation after the boy's open coffin funeral and the publication of photographs of his mutilated body, has never faded away, especially in a region still grappling with the horrors of its past. Even in recent years, historical markers about the case have been vandalized. I want to stop. What did I tell you? There's a straight line from 1619 to 2018. Same evil, always being perpetrated against African people by whites. There is no equivalent that can be dug up or shown of us having any type of behavior like this towards them. That is the truth. That's the damn truth. But there's some other issues with this paragraph. Let me see if I can highlight it for you now so we can break it apart. It begins, it says, yet the Till case, which staggered the nation. No, didn't stagger the nation. Didn't stagger the nation. It just pissed off black folks, as usual. But white folks were not staggered. That's fiction. All right. Stagger the Nation after the boy's open coffin funeral and the publication of photographs of his mutilated body have never faded away. All right. Well, they only got part of that right. It's never faded away, but not the shit they're talking about. All right. They're saying just his situation hasn't faded away. No, none of it has faded away. Especially in a region grappling with the horrors of the past. That's an inaccurate statement. This whole fucking country is that region. And these horrors are not the past. They are current, they are active, they are now. Even in recent years, historical markers about the case have been vandalized. Let me see, I wonder who could have done that. Let's see, let's check. Well, let me just look at my book on this. Let's just look at the book. Let's see if I can look at the book. Let's see. Arabs? No. Okay. Latinos? No. Native Americans? Still no. What about Aborigines? I'm sure they would have done that. Oh, well, look, no Aborigines. I wonder who would have done this. Who would do this? Maybe it's the Chinese. Nope, not the. It says right there, not the Chinese. It's got to be the Japanese. Damn it, it's got to be. Nope, not the Japanese. Damn it. It's got to be those Filipinos. I know it. Oh, it says right here, it's not the. Oh my God, it's the white devil. The only provocateur on the earth. The only one who would desecrate and whose history is that of desecrating, not only murdering and genocide across the earth, but then the specific evil of then vandalizing the memory even, as well as the graves and markers for those that they've murdered. Nobody else. I just showed you the book. Nobody else does that. Nobody. Anywhere in history or in current day. Let's go on. I don't think this is something the South is going to forget easily, said Joyce Childs, a former district attorney in Mississippi who was involved in a mid-2000s review of the Till case that concluded with no new charges. I don't think this is something the South is going to forget easily. We laugh at that. So Joyce Childs, all right, she was a district attorney in Mississippi who was involved in the 2000. Okay, fine. For more than 6 decades, Emit's death has stood as a symbol of white racism. The boy was visiting family in Money, Mississippi, deep in the Mississippi Delta from Chicago, where your boy is from, when he went to a store owned by the lying whore and her then husband. All right. Yeah, that's the same, right? Yeah, the lying whore. Owned by the lying whore and her husband, who was one of the devils who ultimately confessed to Emit's murder. Emit was kidnapped and killed days later, his body tethered to a cotton gin fan with barbed wire and then cast into a river. I want to stop and say this. Thank God I pulled up videos to show you, because that doesn't state it, everybody. And this is the New York Times, which we do not own. So, of course, the story will be slanted and skewed, because until the lions tell their tale, the story of the hunt will always glorify this devil. You see? So, that sounds very buttoned up. Emit was kidnapped, killed, and his body tethered, and blah, 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 blah. No, there's so much more. You understand? And I'm going to show you that. All right. The case, gruesome and shocking, became a catalyst for the broader civil rights movement. But the lying whore's description of the events leading to the attack has repeatedly shifted. That's because she has a forked tongue. One account had Emit also insulting her verbally. In court, but without jurors present, the whore claimed that Emit had made physical contact with her and spoken in crude sexual language. She later told the FBI that Emit had touched her hand. Which one is it? Mind you, this is a 14-year-old child we're dealing with who's never met, he's visiting from Chicago. He's never met the whore. You see? And when she spoke to the researcher, Timothy Tyson, in 2008, she acknowledged that it was, quote, not true. Again, I tell you, they have a very big problem with saying lie. Well, we don't. She admitted it was a lie, that Emit had grabbed her, or that he had grabbed her or made vulgar remarks. She told Timothy Tyson, who published a book about the case last year, that nothing that boy did could ever justify what happened to him. Fuck her, because here's why. Nothing he could have done should have caused your bitch ass to lie and cause his death. But now she wants to come and say, quote, nothing that boy did could ever justify what happened to him. Think about that. This is the forked tongue I'm talking about, everybody. You understand what I'm saying? I don't just use words like that as hyperbole and drama and just to be cute. I'm serious. That is a forked tongue. You understand? Because the same could be said. Nothing that this boy did could ever justify this white whore lying on him. Huh? Same difference? Same thing? Stop the video when I lie. And there's a picture of our beautiful young prince. Beautiful was this brother. 14. Snatched away. Like millions of countless African lives at the hands of whites. The lying whore could not be reached for, what did I just tell you? What did I tell you up here? What did I tell you at the beginning of the damn article when they said, what was it? Listen, everybody. I always tell you, I know the things of which I speak. If I don't know what I'm talking about, then I tell you I don't know what I'm talking about, or I don't say this shit at all. Here it is. The Justice Department declined to comment on Thursday. Declined to comment on Thursday. And what did I tell you? They always throw a rock and hide their hand. That is the nature of this beast. Period. Period. You understand? Just like you know when flowers bloom, and you know when the rain season is, and, excuse me, and you can tell when it's going to be a thunderstorm. This is a trait, you understand, of this enemy. Where is it now? Oh, I was right by his picture. The lying whore could not be reached for comment on Thursday. But Dr. Tyson said at a news conference that while he supported the inquiry, he believed it to be, quote, a political show, end quote, to distract from the orange tulips controversies. We should also know, damn it, there's something flying. I'm ready for your ass. I think it's a baby moth. Like a moth to a flame burned by the fire. No, like a moth to a flame burned by the fly swatter. I don't got no love. Can't you see my desire? That's the way love goes. Okay, it's gonna be in the album, everybody. All right, don't criticize. All right, don't judge me. All right. Anyways, this Dr. Tyson person is also a white devil. Let us understand that. All right, just for context. All right. And he believes this is a political show. So at least he's skeptical of it. You understand? Because like I say, to me, this whole thing flashes a big question mark for me. You know, like, why are you doing this? You want to tell me the NAACP is reopening the case, or the ACLU, or some independent black group or something like that? I'll hear you. But white U.S. government, whose Justice Department is led by a fucking white devil-ass racist, the intellectual black African mind that sits in the brain, that sits in the cranium and the head on my shoulders, must ask why. This is about Tyson. Okay, he said that he had spoken with the FBI last year and complied with a subpoena for his research materials. Ms. Childs, the former Mississippi prosecutor, said that the lying whore's recantation should have provoked a new examination by the federal authorities. But she also suggested that even truthful testimony in the mid 1950s would not have changed the legal outcome of the would not have changed the legal outcome given the racism and the white hate of the time and currently. You understand? Because two things I want to say. Well, first thing I want to say, please let me remember that. Please let me remember that. Please let me remember that. All right. You'll remember that I brought you a case about Anthony, what was the brother's name? 1985. He was arrested. I forget what city it was. You guys remember I did that long expose. Anyway, two white cops come up. This is not the 40s, 50s, and 60s. No, this is the 1985. You understand? Michael Jackson had the #1 album. Madonna, MTV, just trying to give you a color of the decade. And two white devil cops come up to him, arrest him for a murder they knew he didn't commit, and they told him in plain language, we know you didn't do it, but we don't care. And let me tell you why you're going to be convicted, because it's going to be a white judge and an all-white jury. And he said, you know what that means? Conviction. You see what I'm saying? He was speaking for white people he didn't even personally know. But he knew that just that they were white like him, they would do the evil deed. We must think about that, everybody. That's their facts. I didn't make that up. And the videos here on the channel, you know that. Anthony Ray Hinton, that's his name. Allahu Akbar. So, when they say the racism of that time, give me a break. Period. The other thing I want to say is that the fact that the whore lied should make her an accessory to murder after the fact. And they're going to tell us that it's likely that no charges will be brought against anybody. I'm sorry, what? Do you see what I'm saying? So while the big headline is they reopen the investigation, their intent is always evil. Because she's living and breathing. Go get the bitch and arrest her. Oh, that's right. She's not a black woman. I'm sorry. I don't know why you guys listen to me. You know I'm just a fucking liar. You know I don't know anything I'm talking about. I don't know why anybody listens to me. Are you following me? Are you following me? Type follow if I have made my point succinct up till now. Can you please type follow? Quote, I don't think it would have resulted in a different verdict, she said. Erica, that's got to be somebody black. Arricka, accent Q apostrophe question mark. I'm over it. Erica Gordon Taylor, a cousin of Emit Till. What did I tell you? A cousin of Emmett's, who was raised by his mother, said Thursday that some members of the Till family had previously learned of the Justice Department's inquiry. Erica, who is president of the Mamie Till Mobley Memorial Foundation, said the news, quote, came as no surprise and declined further comment. All right. But at least she spoke. You see, not she can be reached for comment or declined to give comment. No. She made a statement and then declined any further. You see, because we don't throw rocks and hide our hands. We don't need to. You see, only the guilty party ever does that. The Emit case is a renewed and prominent test for the Justice Department's official change. The Till case is a renewed and prominent test for the Justice Department officials charged with investigating long ago murders that are thought to have been racially motivated. Since 2006, according to the Justice Department, its efforts have led to 5 successful prosecutions, including that of Edgar Ray Killen, who was involved in the killing of 3 civil rights workers in Mississippi and died in prison this year. Praise be to Allah. The last successful prosecution came in 2010 when a former Alabama state trooper was convicted of manslaughter for the killing of Jimmy Lee Jackson, a protester whose death led to the Selma to Montgomery march. All right. But prosecutors have faced daunting challenges beyond familiar barriers, such as a statute of limitations. Just a second. There's no statute of limitations on murder. That was a comma. Okay, such as statute of limitations, comma. The constitutional prohibition against double jeopardy. Well, where does double jeopardy come in here? You charge this lying whore, who is at the very least the cause of his death. Before you even get to her lying, she's the cause of his death. Because she went and lied. Forget her recantations after the fact now. She was the thing that precipitated all of this. The bitch should be in jail. You understand? And I don't care how old she is, because just like they can send Bill Cosby to jail for some shit that happened 5,000 years ago, they can send her white ass to jail the same way. Don't get me started. Don't approach. The constitutional prohibition against double jeopardy, and the reality that many people of the era have died, but not the lying whore. So I'm seeing excuses here. Racially motivated attacks committed before 1968 cannot be prosecuted under a federal hate crimes law. Well, we don't need a federal hate crime. We don't need that. We don't need that special law. We just regular bitch lied, accessory to murder, cause of death, whatever. That all still applies, and that would be just enough to send her lying white ass to jail. Period. So what we see in this paragraph, everybody, is excuses. You see, it's just the same way as when one of their murdering ass police murders one of us in the street, and they just simply can't find anything that they would be guilty of, and they were justified, and we just didn't see anything wrong with it, and we can't. You see? Again, this is all about them reopening the investigation as if they're seeking justice. But all we've seen through this whole damn thing is more fucking vomit, lies, and injustice. That's it. I don't know if we need to continue reading it. How much more is this bullshit left? All right, we'll finish this one. We'll get into videos. And then I don't know if we're reading the second article. All right. Even with our best efforts, the Justice Department... Oh, now, I don't even like the way this started. Quote, even with our best efforts, now I'm expecting them to say, our hands are tied and we just wish we could and we can't. Right? Even with our best efforts, end quote. The Justice Department told Congress this year, investigations into historic cases are exceptionally difficult and rarely will justice be reached inside a courtroom. So why is this being... Now, and by the way, this isn't being reopened by the local municipality. It's the fucking federal government. Why, I ask you, my people? Why? 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 Damn it, why? And then that little sniper, this little sniping right here, huh? Even with our best efforts, the Justice Department told Congress this year, investigations that historical and are exceptionally difficult when they involve the killing of black people, because we really don't give a damn about their black asses anyway. Although if the victim was white, I'm sure we'd have an entire system in place that would bring them to justice over within the 48-hour period. But because they're black, there rarely will there be justice reached inside of a courtroom, and there's just nothing we could do. Stop the video when I lie. In the Till case, that could again prove true. And again, you see how they just put that out there on its own island. Remember, an editor, a writer, and a publisher. They didn't just start writing and typing and, oh my God, we don't... No, that you see, this is deliberate. Look, every paragraph, the way that it's structured, has been designed deliberately. Do you understand me? And in this little island, they give you that. In the Emit case, that could again prove true. So what we've read from beginning till now is that there's nothing we can do. Don't expect justice, and the lying whore has no culpability here. That's what I understand. That's my dissertation. But let's finish the last paragraphs. The Justice Department, well, that's a relative term. Justice Department. Does anybody feel like this is justice right now? Because I don't. You see what I'm saying? Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. Don't tell me Madonna is, or that Janet Jackson is staying outside of my room and I open the fucking door and it's goddamn Madonna. The Justice Department, whose new inquiry was first reported by the Associated Press, last began a significant review of the Emit case in 2004, but prosecutors ultimately determined that the statute of limitations had left them without any charges they could pursue in a federal court. We just wish there was something we could do. Yeah. Again, the lying white whore is still alive. Go and arrest her. Because remember, when I brought you the recent video about the MOVE organization that they bombed again in 1985, you'll recall that Roma, Africa, they arrested and jailed 9 people for the death of one white devil-ass cop when they knew that none of them had even used any firearm that day at all and weren't guilty. And even if they could have all been guilty, he was shot by one bullet. All 9 people shot with that one bullet, but they're still in jail right now. This white whore is still out just lollygagging around. And what was the quote? But prosecutors ultimately determined that the statute of limitations had left them without any charges. Damn those statute of limitations, if we could just get past them, that they could pursue in a federal court. The FBI still conducted an inquiry, which included an exhumation of Emit's body from an Illinois cemetery. For about 2 years to settle. Wait, I'm reading something wrong. The FBI still conducted an inquiry, which included an exhumation of Emmit's body from an Illinois cemetery for about 2 years to settle whether there were any state crimes that could still be prosecuted. Murder, and the bitch is still alive. What are you looking for? You don't even have to be a lawyer to figure this out. Wow. Yet, they have no absolute proof that OJ killed those 2 people, but they will torture his life to the end of the fucking existence. But this lying whore, who's now admitted that she's a lying whore, and they can't find a charge? Murder 1. Your vomit-ass lie caused the death of a 14-year-old. The prosecution rests. Miss Childs, that's the attorney person they talked about, presented the case to a grand jury and asked that the lying whore be charged. Oh, here we go. So she must be a sister. And asked that the lying whore be charged with manslaughter. But the panel did not return any indictment because they were all white. And they want us to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem in this bitch. Pledge your allegiance to our unbridled murder and injustice upon you for the last centuries. Pledge your allegiance to that. Proclaim great the place that still has on its books that you are 3/5 of a human. Pledge your allegiance to that. Pledge your allegiance and sing the anthem of the shithole of Satan that incarcerates you. I could go on. Do you understand what I'm saying? But this is the hypocrisy and the forked tongue characteristic of these people and their system. And indeed, they are the system. So we don't use innocuous words like the system or the procedure. No. There are people living and breathing who are responsible for the bullshit. Don't blame it on some inanimate thing that can't breathe, speak, talk, or walk. Don't ever do that. I can't. All right. Let us get into our first article, everybody. Or I'm sorry, our first video on this case. And I'm not going to play them in any certain order because they are all relevant. The one thing I will tell you is that the longest one I will play last. That I can tell you. That I can tell you. All right. That I could tell you. But again, they're not in any certain order. See? And then, by the way, just as I'm making the transition to start queuing up the video for you, let me show you this. Chicago police murder a man, and then a crowd confronts the devils. That's right now in 2018. 1619 to 2018. Direct line of evil, oppression, assault, attack. Pick your word. You understand? And I don't need to read any of it to know that it was a white fucking cop that shot somebody African. No question in my mind. So all I need to do is proceed to the damn video. Let's see now. Well, we'll start with this one. This is a story that won't let us go. And this talks about the book. This was that Tyson person then. All right. Let me cue this up. Okay. All right, let's see this now.
Now, unexpected revelations more than 60 years after one of the more seminal moments in the civil rights era. That is the focus of Timothy Tyson's new book, The Blood of Emit Till, the latest addition to the NewsHour bookshelf. Jeffrey Brown spoke with him recently.
Why retell this story? What drove you to want to take another look?
I was actually working on another book, and a nice woman from Raleigh called me on the phone and wanted to tell me how much she liked my previous book. She said, well, my mother-in-law's coming next week. I gave her the book for Christmas, and she liked it very much, and we'd like to have a cup of coffee with you. She said, well, you might know my mother-in-law. Her name was Carolyn Bryant. And of
the
course,
lying whore.
A historian of the 20th century, the civil rights movement.
There she is. That's the lying whore, everybody. That caused the death of Emit Till. That's also the face of the same lying whore that called the cops on our brothers in Starbucks. That's also the face of the lying whore that called the cops on our sister at Yale. Do you want me to keep going? Are you seeing a pattern here? Yesterday is today, and today is yesterday. You're still dealing with the same damn people doing the same damn shit. Doesn't matter what decade you're in. Period. Let's go on.
I knew that Carolyn Bryant had not uttered a word in public about the lynching of Emmet Till since 1955.
The woman at the store,
yes,
who made the claims about Emmet Till,
in whose name he was lynched.
Remind us what she had said and what she says now.
In court, she testified to something that was tantamount to sexual assault, to coming around the counter, grabbing her by the waist with his hands and not letting go, and speaking to her sexually.
And you've broken some new ground here with having her say that the most sensational parts of her testimony were not true.
Yeah. In reference to the sort of the physical piece, she said, that part's not true. Nothing that boy did could ever justify what happened to him.
You know, I read that in your book when she says that, and in one way it's the most obvious statement possible, right? Of course, nothing that he did could justify what happened to him. But what importance do you feel, if any, of her finally saying it?
I'm sure it is important to the Till family and to other people who have, have that kind of connection to the case. But, I certainly never thought she was telling the truth at trial. People are really interested because it's a mystery. She's been, in hiding almost for all these 60-some years. It was her husband who did the killing and her brother-in-law. It's not clear what role she had in that, but
It's not
the
clear.
FBI
Wait,
investigated this in
it's not
2005
clear
and
what role
said
she
there was
had in
nothing to
that.
prosecutor on, and a
She
grand jury
precipitated
that
the entire
had a
thing
black
for being a
majority
lying whore. What am I
ruled that
missing?
not to indict her.
Do you know why she finally spoke?
I can't say for a fact. I can't read her mind, and she didn't say there.
He's the author of the book about this. It's not clear what role she played in this. Do I need medication? I can't. We're taking a break after this clip, everybody, because I'm getting worked up.
There was kind of an implication that she was in poor health and getting on in years and wanted to have her say, and tell what she knew.
The real heroine of the whole episode is Emit Till's mother, Amy.
Yeah, so courageous.
That's Emmett's mother, a
She
divine
brings,
queen. Divine, do you understand me? Divine. Beautiful woman. Beautiful. Poised and classic. Oh, my God. Wow. But you see the anguish on that sister's face right now? You see the anguish on that sister's face? That's the same anguish we've seen on the face of every mother whose child has been shot down in the street by these murdering, savage ass fucking people they call police. You understand? 1619 to 2018, not a damn thing has changed.
Body back from Mississippi and has an open casket funeral so everybody can see what the world did to my boy.
No. Language
Gets
is
on the phone
important.
even before the
No.
boy comes back and starts.
Do you hear what he said? Now, he's supposed to be the author. He's not supposed to have any side on this, right? But what does he have in common with the perpetrators and the lying whore? They're all white. You see? That's important. Because what does he say there? She had the open casket so they could see, so they could see what the world did to her son. No, fuck that. She had that casket open so that people could see what these fucking white ass savages did to her son. We're not going to make it through this clip, everybody. We're not going to make it.
She said. She also gets on the phone even before the body comes back and starts calling reporters, and just becomes a clearinghouse for this media operation.
It's fascinating because she took her personal grief and made it into a kind
Not to mention he's a fat porpoise.
of public
That's right.
awareness.
Yes, that's right. And she knows Chicago, and she leverages the strength of Black Chicago, of the institutions that had been built there over the decades. The Chicago Defender, the Johnson Publishing, which is Ebony and Jet, Black Labor Unions.
We're done with him.
And so on. With that, a movement emerges that becomes the infrastructure for a national civil rights movement. One of the grassroots
Yeah, we have to
in
be done with him
Mississippi-
because we have to hear that from somebody that looks, talks, and smells like us. We just can't. I'm over it. I can't. All right. It'll just be a click for you, but I just need a moment. I need to freshen up my punch and with some ice and all of it. And like I said, it'll just be a thing for you, but it'll be a few minutes for me. Jedi out. Okay. I'm a little replenished now, everybody. It's not possible to get through pieces like this for me without getting very agitated, emotional, worked up, whatever you want to call it. because I have a soul and I have conviction and principle, and injustice and unfairness is something that dances on a raw nerve for me. You see, so it's very difficult for me to get through pieces like this. You know, perhaps it would be if this was an aberration, you know. Oh, remember that one time a long time ago, these white people had killed this little 14-year-old because some white bitch lied? Remember that? And it was just that one. There was no slavery, that the shit hadn't continued up until right now as I sit here talking to you in 2018. Perhaps I feel differently about it, you know. But I understand that the implications of this is right now. And I'm very clear that nothing has changed, and that's why I say it like I'm a scratch record. I say it all the time because it's the damn truth. And I'm only here to proclaim the truth. You feel me? Now, that last video, we didn't need the rest of it. All right? Because it was, you know, you look at who's delivering it. He's the author of the book. But by default, you know, even if he has good intentions, we use that very carefully. Even if he has good intentions, the fact of the matter is he's on the other side. He's just on the other side. You know, if you're not an African, you are on the other side, and therefore you are not, you know. So we didn't need it. Now, we're going to start to walk through this next series of videos. And again, the purpose for bringing these is to educate and make familiar with any of those who maybe they heard of Emit Till and they heard only a snippet of something like we read in the New York Times article. Yeah. You know, where they misstate or they understate. You know, that's a purpose. That's on purpose, because as I sit here, there has always and continues to be a concerted effort to either just totally dismiss history, change it, rewrite it, do it some kind of a way so it either isn't known or in some way that it lessens the sting and the punch. But most of all, that it doesn't continue to stack on their evil resume of a history of evil upon all humanity. You see, that's the most important part. So I bring this so that those who aren't familiar can be absolutely familiar. I bring this so that those who are familiar with the Emit Till case can be absolutely clear about what happened. That's the purpose of why I'm bringing this. And I need to also let you know that I need to get out of bed to finish doing this because it is late. And I was going to just wait and finish tomorrow. But you know what? I thought Emit Till didn't get another day when those terrorists, those white terrorists, rolled upon his residence and came in his house and got him out of bed, putting the entire family in terror. Do you understand what I mean? And he would have done anything for another day. The least I could do is make the sacrifice. You understand what I'm saying? This is dedicated to the life of this young king. Dedicated, dedicated, dedicated. So, this next piece is a piece. It's a piece. We know that, you know. All right, but anyway, it's informational. Again, everything is going to be is for the purpose of giving you more and more education on this case. So let's proceed. All right.
He called me and I came back to the funeral home.
Let me go back.
He called me and
This is his mother, by the way, that's speaking. All right. She's telling the story now, I believe. She's telling the story. You'll know. She's telling the story. Let's go.
He called me and I came back to the funeral home. About 3 blocks away, an odor met me that nearly knocked me out. I said,
I gotta
what
play it
on
again
earth
because we're
in
only 13 seconds
the
in.
funeral?
She said, about 3 blocks away, an odor hit me that nearly knocked me out. I'm going to try and shut up as we go on.
Home. About 3 blocks away, an odor met me that nearly knocked me out. I said, what on earth in the world is that? It was Emit's body. That's how the smell was so strong.
For 3 blocks.
Until it covered a 2 or 3 block area.
She's going to see, she's talking about when she sees her son for the first time.
My father was on one side of me, and Rayfield Moody was on the other side of me, and Jean was at my back. And I shrugged them. I said, turn me loose. I've got a job to do, and I don't have time to be fainting now. I saw his tongue had been choked out, and it was lying down on his chin.
Wait now. Let remind us, what did the New York Times article say, huh? If I could just remember what the New York Times article said that gave you the entire story of what happened. See if I can find it. Did I already get rid of it? I got rid of it already. Wow. Fine, whatever. But Emit Till was kidnapped and killed, and a fan was tied to his body and thrown into the river. That's it. Now hear what this woman is saying about her son.
And Rayfield Moody was on the other side of me, and Jean was at my back. And I shrugged them. I said, turn me loose. I've got a job to do, and I don't have time to be fainting now. I saw his tongue had been choked out, and it was lying down on his chin. I saw that this eye was out, and it was lying about midway the cheek. I looked at this eye, and it was gone. I looked at the bridge of his nose, and it looked like someone had taken a meat chopper and chopped it. And I looked at his teeth, because I took so much pride in his teeth. His teeth were the prettiest things I'd ever seen in my life, I thought. And I only saw 2. Where are the rest of them? They'd just been knocked out. And I was looking at his ears. His ears were like mine. They curled. They're not attached, and they curled up. The same way mine are. And I didn't see the ear. Where's the ear? And that's when I discovered a hole about here, and I could see daylight on the other side. I said, now, was it necessary to shoot it? If that's a bullet hole, was that necessary?
Remember, according to the New York Times article, Emit Till was just kidnapped and killed, and a fan tied to him and was thrown in the river. Not this savage, demonic brutalization of a 14-year-old. Do you understand me? A 14-year-old. And these are the people that we want adopting our children in 2018? Adopting our children? Huh? Adopting. These are the people that you want to lay down with and marry and have relationship and have children with and all of it? This is not ancient history, everybody. This is not ancient history. This happened in many of your lifetimes even. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Let's go on. I'll take it back just a skosh for pickups.
If that's a bullet hole, was that necessary? And I also discovered that they had taken an axe and they had gone straight down across his head, and the face and the back of the head were separate.
My God. A 14-year-old boy.
Well, I looked at Mr. Rayner, and Mr. Rayner wanted to know, was I going to have the casket opened? I said, oh yes, we're going to open the casket. He said, well, Miss Bradley, do you want me to do something for the face? Want me to try to fix it up? I said, no, let the people see what I see. I said, I want the world to see this, because there's no way I can tell this story and give them the visual picture of what my son looked like.
The easiest thing would have been to say, no, close the casket, I can't bear it. But she somewhere found the strength to say, I'll bear my pain, to save some other mother from having to go through this. And because she put the picture of this young man's body on the conscience of America, she might have saved thousands of young black men and young black women.
Listen, this is very dangerous, everybody. This is very dangerous. Do you understand? Hear this now. This is very dangerous. Very dangerous. Very dangerous. Why is it dangerous, Jedi? Oh my God. La ilaha illallah. Allahu Akbar. Here's why, everybody. Listen to me now. Hear this very carefully. Let me see if I can get this queued up to where he begins. All right, that's fine. Now, well, it's important that you see him while I'm talking. Hear this now. Stop what you're doing and listen to me very carefully. Universe, please help me. My presence here on YouTube, everybody. When I told you, I came to YouTube to find my people, I'm trying to educate, uplift my people for the purpose of liberation, for the purpose of action, etc., etc. This is why I say you always have to take me in context. You must watch my body of work. Because I'm trying to get you into a space where whether you're reading, listening, or watching, you are able to do a dissertation, not just on the information, but how it's being delivered, who's delivering it, what language are they using, and what words are they choosing to say it. Stay with me. It also takes you continuously gathering information all the time. You're constantly gathering. I've always told you, even educate yourself about things you're not interested in. Just go and learn it and just go and spend time. Because just so that you have it. And pay attention. Always cast yourself as a third party. So that you can be above the fray looking down with an eagle's eye view. Do you understand what I'm telling you? I always also tell you about knowledge converging. Things that are known apply to what is being presented. Knowledge converging. What are you saying, Jedi? Why are you worked up at this point? That is a heavy set Al Sharpton on our screen right now. Not the skinny one. This one does not have a show on MSNBC. The skinny one does. This one was still making his way through the ranks after his controversial Tawana Brawley scandal and being hated worse than he's hated now by white people and all the crap, which means nothing. But he's arrived now at a certain place. He even ran for president, the skinny one, not this one. Do you understand what I'm telling you? So, we see now how he was very, very, very slick right there. Do you see? This is how you end up with a show on MSNBC. When you talk like this, you'll never get a show on MSNBC. You see what I'm saying? Until we own fucking MSNBC. But hear what he said. I'm going to play it and then I'm going to break it down for you.
Easiest thing would have been.
He said, he's saying the easiest thing would have been for her. I want to make sure we hear the entire clip. It's very important. Oh my God, it just hit me like a damn nuclear blast. Hear this.
The easiest thing would have been to say, no, close the casket. I can't bear it.
The easiest thing would have been to say, close the casket. I can't bear it.
But she somewhere found the strength to say, I'll bear my pain to save some other mother.
Stop. Right the fuck right there. He is a coon and a bitch. It's not why she did it. Goes back to earlier in the video when the fucking white ass fucking author of the book said she was doing this so that people could see what the world had done to her son. Again, not indicting this fucking satanic ass devils that did the shit. Do you understand what I'm saying? So he's walking around Massa right there. She didn't do this to save some motherfucking mother. She did this so people could see the evil. Because there was no social media. There was no Instagram. There was no Facebook. There was no goddamn YouTube. You understand? There wasn't even a goddamn cell phone. And long distance was probably $3,000 a minute in 1955. But here he comes because he doesn't want to indict Massa. And he says this. Because she had done everything to save her fucking son. She did everything right. His statement suggests that she somehow erred. And that's why her son is dead. So she's showing her son so that other mothers can save their son. Ain't shit you can do when this fucking white devil has evil studying on his mind 24 hours a day around the fucking clock. I cite for you. Philando Castile did every goddamn thing right. And still he ended up dead. Sandra Bland did every fucking thing right and the traffic stop was over and she still ended up dead. Do you want me to keep on going? You see what I'm saying? This is a bitch move right here, everybody. Hear the whole thing in context now. Because you see, what I'm trying to illustrate to you is we're dealing with this whole Emit Till thing. But wait a minute, something else just came out of the dark. And we have to deal with that. You understand? This is how you consume knowledge. This is how you do a dissertation. This is how you break down shit so shit don't get past you. You gotta be able to listen and pay attention. Hear this.
Easiest thing would have been to say, no, close the casket. I can't bear it. But she somewhere found the strength to say, I'll bear my pain to save some other mother from having to go through this. And because she put the picture of this young man's body on the conscience of America, she might have saved thousands of young black men.
No, she didn't. And how would she have saved thousands of black men, everybody? Somebody answer that for me. Somebody do a dissertation on this fiction that this fat porpoise is bringing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because he had his eyes set down the road on an MSNBC show and he wanted to run for president and all the other shit that he ended up doing. But not this fat porpoise right there. You see? And by the way, at this point, he's no longer in the field or Reebok jumpsuits he used to wear with the fucking, all the bullshit. With the gold chain, he looked like a fucking fat rapper or something. Now there he is in the fucking suit and while stepping on this woman's son's grave, essentially, for his own fat ass personal gain. Did you see that? Did you hear it? Do you understand what I'm telling you? Oh, it was crafty. One more time and we go on. He might be at the end of the clip. And we move to the next video. But we got to hear this again. It's worth it.
The easiest thing would have been to say, no, close the casket, I can't bear it. But she somewhere found the strength to say, I'll bear my pain to save some other mother from having to go through this. And because she put the picture of this young man's body on the conscience of America, she might have saved thousands of young black men and young black women's lives.
She didn't. And proof of that is 2018. You have the fucking white whore at Starbucks call the police on the brothers at Starbucks. You understand what I'm saying? Because they could have come there and done the same treatment to these brothers as this motherfuckers did to Emit Till. Just 2018 style. They come there, oh, I thought he was reaching for a gun or he got out of control or something, and they shot him and killed him. Same with the bitch at Yale. Same with the bitch at the barbecue. I'm losing track now. Same with the bitch at the pool. I mean, just keep going down the list. You see what I'm saying? That was vomit that he just puked out at the end of that. This is why I say, everybody, we don't have any leaders, and and he's a fucking Christian pastor, which if they have Christian in front of their name, they're definitely not a leader. By default, they don't have it. Because anybody's going to lead African people understands the dynamic of our people. And understand the dynamic of African people, you got to understand the character of our people. And you have to be able to understand where the flaws are at and the shit that needs to change and the shit that is a poison and a downpull on our people. And chief among them is Christianity. So no Christian fucking person can ever lead African people ever. Certainly not anyone declaring themselves a damn pastor. Period. Because that's the vomit that will always come out of their damn mouth. Something that appeases massa, that don't indict, that doesn't tell the truth, that puts fiction out. You see what I'm saying? We're over it. We're over it. We are goddamn it over it. We're over it. We're damn it over it. The devil is always busy. Always. Wow. Here's another short clip. Now, this clip is supposed to be, it's supposed to be a preview of the documentary, whatever, because we're going to look at the documentary, but whatever it is, we don't care. We don't really care about titles and labels. We just care about the information. We just care about the information that they possess. So I want to go to this clip now. It's also short like the last one. And let's roll it now.
To the Southern establishment that lorded over its black citizens, Till's death at first had no impact.
They considered his death as basically nothing. And you have to consider that in Mississippi and in the South in these days, the deaths of black Americans did not merit news.
The possibility of a trial or a conviction was also a non-issue.
The history of Mississippi, and I'd say in general in the South, was that no whites had ever been convicted for killing blacks.
It is in that setting that he was killed with a degree of permissiveness. But that is how grotesque, how sick the country was at that time.
Break. No, Jesse. Set your ass.
South was that
He's doing the same thing that Al Sharpton did, everybody. Again, if we are in a nation with this savage, demonic history, and everybody's marching around now talking about hashtag Me Too and all the bullshit, and hashtag walk away and this and the third, and we claim we want a better union and we have to get rid of the stain of slavery and we have to get rid of racism, then you have to use terms that are fucking English and that are goddamn truth. You understand what I'm saying? Your wife cheats on you and you're trying to talk about it, and she wants to talk in hypotheticals. Well, if a woman were to cheat on her man and she went to, Frank's house, and no, bitch, let's talk about you going to fucking Dante's house. You feel what I'm saying? This is the same equivalent. So this is when the country was sick. Really? The country was sick? Was that the trees, the rivers, and the streams? What was sick about the country? You see, these innocuous terms that don't put a laser on who the fucking perpetrator is. Do you understand me? Now, let's go a little further. This country studies aggression. We won't say war because they've never fought a war. All they do is attack and kill people. You understand? The bully on the damn earth. So when you have the aggression in Iraq, they claim it's Saddam. When you have the aggression in Afghanistan, they say it is bin Laden. You see, when they want to study attacking Iran, they say it's Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. You see what I'm saying? And so forth. In Russia, they say it's Putin. They don't say the Afghans or this country in the Middle East. The same thing for Iraq and so forth. Only when you're dealing with the evil history and the current state of white people do you start using these catty words. Catty, the country was sick. The country was sick. The country was sick. No, the country wasn't sick. Racist ass white people were killing fucking black people. Period. Did the country hang those brothers up in those trees? Did the country do that? Do you understand what I'm telling you? Oh my God, I'm going to have an aneurysm right here on camera. It will happen. Do you understand what I'm telling you? This is why there will never be progress, because as I always tell you, and write this down, no matter who the parties are, no matter what their relationship to each other, no matter what the conflict, you can never have reconciliation without acknowledgement. Do you understand me? You can never have reconciliation without acknowledgement. Whoever the perpetrating parties are or the offender must acknowledge their shit, or you're getting nowhere. Two people get in an accident. Oh my God, it's an accident. It's just an accident. They didn't leave the house going, I will run into somebody's car today. Although there are people out there to do that, but that's something else. Now, so the person that ran the stop sign, it's their fault. Witnesses saw it and everything. There was even a highway camera that said, yeah, that person ran the stop sign. Then you want to go into the courtroom and say, the traffic was sick, or the traffic caused the accident. No, bitch, your bitch ass ran the stop sign. You did that. You living, breathing human thing, you ran the stop sign. The country was sick. I'm over it. Oh my God, I can't. All right, let's hear this vomit again. And by the way, I want to say something. Somewhere in there, I took a little break and did something. And occasionally I do but sometimes my editing is so on point, y'all don't even know. You see what I'm saying? Because the Jedi can just do that. You know what I'm saying? He can just do that though, but he can just do that. Like it's not, the Jedi could just do that. And stuff. But I noticed that when we played Emit's mother, my audio from my speakers was bleeding into the mic in the camera. And I don't want that for you. I always tell you, I try and give you ease of access. I don't want any of the technical stuff getting in the way. This is just me and you. That's why I always tell you, you have to watch my videos in full screen, because I want your full undivided attention, because you have mine. It's us in this session. It's us. That's it. It's us. All right. It's us. So I've tried to correct that problem, although I need to have a little bit of volume so I can hear the piece as well, so I can be able to make comments on it or catch vomit like that. Oh my God, I can't. All right, let's go on now.
Mississippi, and I'd say in general in the South, was that no whites had ever been convicted for killing blacks.
It is in that setting that he was killed with a degree of permissiveness. But that is how grotesque, how sick the country was.
Why couldn't he say that's how sick and grotesque white people were being? The country was. The country. Now remember, because I already said to you, they always wanted to make you think that all this stuff was just in the South. And it was just a little band of white people. It wasn't widespread across the whole fucking country, even though they killed off native people all across this bitch, over 130 million. No, this is just here. Just like today. No, there's some police that are bad. Well, I haven't seen a good one. They're all bad across this bitch. From sea to shining goddamn sea. You understand what I'm saying? You're never going to get any progress if you can't acknowledge your shit. It's that simple. So, how sick the country was. Why didn't he say that's how sick the South was? Do you see what I'm saying to you? Why didn't he say that's how sick the South was? You see? That proves my point. Not that I need any proving. I know I'm right. Because the truth speaks for itself. I'm just telling it. That's how sick the country was, said the vomit. I can't, dude. I can't. That's why we don't. I can't. Let's pick it up and go on from there.
Permissions, but that is how grotesque, how sick the country was at that time.
At that time. And then there's a pause. Because I'm sure he didn't edit and put this together. I'm sure it wasn't us. You see? At that time. Really? So that just all went away. Dorothy clicked her heels 3 times and said there's no place like home, and it was over. According to Jesse. At that time. Again, it was just a few pockets, and it was just at that time. But every time we see these types of photographs, we see a sea of damn white people. Men, women, and goddamn children. And we know from our readings and learning that they would come from all over the country. And they would put out flyers and advertise the lynching of a nigger, the burning of a nigger at the stake and so forth. They put on their Sunday best and dress up to come see it. I can't, dude. I can't. You know, it's like a marriage. The couples are never going to reconcile that fucking cheating until the motherfucker that cheated says, I cheated. Damn it. As long as you want to pussyfoot around the truth, you may as well end the fucking marriage because it's never going to work. And that's how it is with us and this oppressing ass race of people. They're never going to acknowledge their shit. They want to act like it was ancient history and it was some shit that was in the past and like there's none of that exists now. And that's not the damn truth. And we are the arbiters of what is true because we are still the victims of it. I want you to hear that little pause after he says, at that time, and then we move on.
How sick the country was at that time.
Within days of his death, Emit Till's body was found at the bottom of the Tallahatchie River. It was wired to the 75-pound fan to keep it from floating up. When his remains were sent back to Chicago, his mother was torn apart with grief. But the wooden box that held his body had been nailed shut.
We'll pick it up. I want to say this, everybody, because it's something you've heard me say in my work, especially those of you who have followed my work forever. For those of you who haven't, you need to, in your own leisure, because I lost over 1,000 videos on my old channel that got shut down. But there's still a lot of videos on this channel. Whoever you are, at your own leisure, just whenever, when you're just picking your nose and you got nothing to do, you need to start watching my body of work because you need to be able to take me in context. Because I'm always in the process of having a constant and ongoing conversation with my audience. I don't just do a video and then that video is not connected to this one and not connected to that one, not connected. You watch my body of work, you see it's all connected. Do you understand what I'm saying? Nobody else on fucking YouTube, I promise you, is doing that shit. Nobody. Because their intention is not the same as mine. And the reason why I'm here. But here's what I want to say to you. Now, obviously, I wasn't on Earth when this all happened to Emit Till. But Emit Till was from Chicago. And we learned that he was also buried in Chicago. I'm from Chicago. And as a spiritual human being, someone who is highly spiritual, and I always tell you that I have a sixth sense. I'm clairvoyant, and I feel energy. Part of understanding the spiritual realm is to understand the energy of the spiritual realm. Your spiritual self is energy. This is physical. This is physical. This is physical. These are cells, but they testify, because even your cells have memory. That's from the spiritual realm. Follow me. So I have always obsessed on what was the energy on the earth when I was born, because I think that informs my whole spiritual context, my spiritual makeup, but it also informs my philosophies, my passions, my philosophies. Everything that I feel is informed by that. It's subconscious because it's spiritual. But when you tap into that, then you understand that it is subconscious, but you're aware of it. Now, I'm from Chicago, so I wasn't on earth when Emit Till lived and died. But I must have been infected and touched by the energy of this event. Do you understand? Just by proxy of the fact that I'm from Chicago, born in Chicago. My mother is buried in Chicago right now. And because I was only 6 months when she died, and of all the questions I ever asked my father and my family, my grandmother and all this stuff, I don't know what cemetery she's buried in. But I know that I was there when she was buried. I know that. I know that. And so it's not improbable that as a baby, I was standing or being held in the cemetery that held the body of Emit Till. Do you understand what I'm trying to communicate to you? This is very important, everybody. You've got to put out noise out of your life. Put down your goddamn phone. Stop texting. Stop Instagramming. Stop Twittering. And stop all the bullshit. And find long pockets of time with yourself. Because the only journey that matters in life is your spiritual journey. It's not about how much shit you collect and how rich you get and all the other bullshit. Fuck all that. You have one journey through life. From the womb to the cradle of the earth. That's it. And it's time, especially for African people, to begin to tap into your spirituality, to begin to cultivate and hone your connection to the universe so that it can communicate with you the way that it communicates with me. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Put down. You should have longer periods of time with yourself than you have doing anything else. Period. Just with self. I don't care if you're married, you got 20 kids. Self. Self. Because you came in the world alone and you're going out alone. And you will meet your maker alone. You understand what I'm saying? Your kids ain't going to be standing there. Your husband ain't going to be standing there. Your wife ain't going to be standing there. It's you and your maker. And what I know absolutely is from birth to death, from day to night, your creator is whispering to you, guiding you. Do you understand? Teaching you. But you don't get it if your soul is noisy. You don't get it. Because I was telling you, there's a requisite for everything. You don't just get it. You don't just get it. You don't just get it. You understand? So you need to begin to tap into that. You need to. You need to. And last thing I'll say about it, I don't think it's any fluke of nature that his mother's last name is Bradley. I had a girlfriend by the name of LaVon Bradley. And her mother, or her grandmother, because she lived with her grandmother. I never met her mother the last time I dated her. Her grandmother looked like his mother looks now in this, when we start sitting on the couch. Tap into your spiritual self, everybody. And for my Christian brothers, it's so hard for y'all because you're so clouded with this hocus pocus of spirits, and it was a spirit and it was a spirit, and throw all that shit out. You don't need nothing but to open your heart, silence your soul so that your heart can be open, so the ear of your soul can listen to the whisper. And that connection with your maker, your whole life changes. That I promise you.
There were instructions from the Mississippi coroner that...
So last thing we heard was that the thing that held her son's body was nailed shut. And there was instructions from the coroner that roll it.
Under no circumstances was it to be unsealed? But this was Chicago.
And we wonder if the coroner was an African or not. I just wonder. Maybe if I take another sip of my black cherry punch, I will receive the answer from the universe. Oh my God, it wasn't. Under no circumstances to open it. Let's hide the crime. Fast forward. Although it was in 2014, we're going to make it 2018. Kendrick Johnson gets stuck in a gym mat. Huh? And his body is returned to his parents with no organs in it. It's stuffed with newspaper. 1955, 2014, and now they just recently re-exhumed his body, 2018. Tell me where the shit changed, everybody. Tell me where it all got better and all that went away and we just live free now as people that get along and not and there's no more evil on the earth and white people aren't attacking us anymore and continue to do their evil. Somebody tell me when that happened. Just type the date that happened so that I know how to look up the facts in the memo. I'll wait. No, because it never happened. Under no circumstances is it to be opened.
Was it to be unsealed? But this was Chicago. And Emmit's mother demanded to see her son one last time.
That's right. My girl.
After seeing what was left of her son, Mamie insisted on an open casket funeral.
I wanted the world to look in and see. And
first of all, she's so beautiful. She's so beautiful. And I love when I see our seasoned, regal, mature women still got it. Can put any heifer to shame just by walking in the room. She don't have to say nothing. But that younger sister, just look at her and know she's out of line. If she's got something out of line, she just know it. She just know it. And the women like this, I just don't know if we are building them like that anymore. We still have them, we still have many of them that are left from that time where we were building this type of woman. But I worry that we're not producing that woman anymore. You know, when she sat on that couch earlier and was talking about all of the injuries to Emit, I just realizing it as I'm saying it to you right now. Because of her, I held it together. And she's the woman who held this baby for 9 months and birthed him. And now she has to sit and talk about the violence, the overkill, the demonic savagery that was practiced and exercised upon her son, all without even her voice cracking. Behold, 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 and know when you are in the presence of a queen, a true queen, a true queen. Wow. Let's pick it up and go on. My God.
The world to look in and see. And so that's when I decided to let the world come in and see, because it was something that I could not handle alone.
There were many people lynched and assassinated, but something about the Emit Till killing, maybe that something was the way people were able to see it all around the nation.
America could no...
Stop. He opened up saying, you know, there were many people lynched, but it was something about the Emit Till case. Maybe it was because the people was able to see the. It's like now, again, nothing has changed, everybody. We know that these fucking white ass satanic murderers that they call police have been brutalizing and savagely doing shit to black people and incarcerating us unjustly, trumping up charges, planting evidence, and all the shit. Rodney King video shows up and everybody's astonished, and then white people act like they're so astonished, because if you just listen to the people who know best, if I get on an airplane, I'm doing what the pilot tells me. I don't need to argue. He's the source. He knows. You see? But you're dealing with the people that get on the airplane and tell the pilot they know better how to better to fly the plane than he does, and they never even fucking made a paper airplane before. You see what I'm saying? So we're seeing those same echoes. That was 1955. Everybody knew what was going on, but because she made it more public, and not to the degree that she would be able to now with a click of a mouse, but she was able to make it public. You see what I'm saying? She used her resource and did what she could to make it as public as it could be. And there was lines that went forever and ever and ever, and for hours and hours and hours, people wanted to file past this brother's casket to give their respects and to see the evidence of this crime. Nothing has changed. So, just like he said, you know, people have been lynched, but something about this one. Well, people have been shot down by the police, but something about Mike Brown. People have been killed by the fucking police in the paddy wagon, but something about Freddie Gray. People have been shot down and killed by motherfuckers that weren't even police and act like they, but something about Trayvon Martin. You see do you see the pattern I'm setting up for you? So it's the same thing. They're doing evil now as I sit here. It's just the shit that we don't see. So we infer it because we know it's there. You understand? You lived in a house for 5 years and you know you got roaches. Just because you wake up on a Sunday morning, you don't see no roach. You know the bitches are there. It's just the sun is out. They coming. They coming. They coming. They coming. You see? So, for all the shit that we do see, for every teacher that cuts some kid's hair and doesn't call the parents, for every heifer that calls the fucking police on people sitting in a Starbucks or at a goddamn barbecue, or all the other evil that they do to us every goddamn day, for every one that we see, there's 1,000 others every single day, that I promise you.
Alone. There were many people lynched and assassinated, but something about the Emit Till killing, maybe that something was the way people were able to see it all around the nation.
America could no longer
I would take
pretend
issue.
that lynchings, the vigilante
I would
murders
take
of
issue with this
blacks
visual.
were unacceptable or inevitable.
Maybe that
Wait.
something was the way people were able to see it, but something.
What's wrong with this visual? Type it. Type it. What's wrong with this visual? Type it.
About the Emit Till killing, maybe that something was the way people were able to see it all around the nation.
America could no longer pretend that lynchings, the vigilante murders of blacks, were unacceptable or inevitable.
There's that word, that language again, that Heidi hocus pocus language. America could no longer pretend. Fuck that. White people could no longer pretend. Because nobody else was pretending. You understand what I'm telling you? We have to deal in truth. You understand what I'm saying? Truth. Truth. Hear the narrator.
America could no longer pretend that lynchings, the vigilante murders of blacks, were an acceptable or inevitable fact of life.
I'm over it.
In the post-Civil War era, there had been thousands of lynchings. Emit Till's death underscored 2 points: that things had to change, but also there'd be blood spilled on the way.
That picture of Emit shows us the ugliness of racism. And because the world was...
Ain't gonna dump on my sister. I just want to augment. Because I don't think she's trying to use catty language. I think she's just speaking from the heart. And so, when she says shows you the ugliness of racism, I say shows you the savagery of white people. Period. Because that is what speaks the truth. You understand? That's what speaks the truth. Because there is no, hear this. We have Google now. Find me now. Anywhere on earth. Find me now. Here's your homework. But you'll be edited to your 90 because you're not going to find it. Find me now a picture or a story of a white boy, man or child or woman or anybody, that African people have done this to, and there's a comparable picture of anybody, white man, woman, or child, young or old, that we've done anything like this to. Go and find it. Go and find it. Go and find it. Go and find it. Go and find it.
That picture of Emmett shows us the ugliness of racism. And because the world was able to see Emmett in that state, that brought on what we call the modern civil rights movement.
She's so beautiful.
The Southern newspaper said all the right things, that Till's murder was brutal and senseless, and that the people of Mississippi deplored this brutal act.
The people of Mississippi deplored it, really? Because we just had the fucking Mizzou player shit last year. Huh? Ain't shit changed. In Mississippi or any goddamn place else. I'm over it. I'm over it. Listen to this now.
On what we call the modern civil rights movement.
The Southern newspaper said all the right things, that Till's murder was brutal and senseless.
The Southern newspapers said all the right things. 2018. I'm an ally. Saying all the right things.
And that the people of Mississippi deplored this brutal act. And yet, when Roy Bryant and J.W. Millam were arrested and ordered to stand trial, some of those white Southerners who were shocked would find a way to take care of their own.
I'm outraged. I can't believe it's so sad what happened. Bitch goes on the jury, not guilty. You see? That's why they don't talk about politics. They're the ones that made that shit. Black folks don't have no problem talking about politics. Only ones that say they do is the ones that have been influenced by this enemy. And that are just talking heads. They're just talking robots. Do you understand what I'm telling you? That's why they don't like to talk politics. Because they go right into the fucking booth and fucking disrespect your ass. Same shit here. That's why their grand juries are secret. You see, Darren Wilson goes before the grand jury, which we never saw and don't know the bitches' names, and they can't indict. Huh? Same shit. Again, point out to me where the shit changed, everybody. Point that out for me. I'd like to know it. I tell you, I'm always happy to be wrong. Always happy to be wrong. Always happy to be wrong and look forward to it. But I love how he says, but those same Southern whites seem to have mustered up the strength to save their own. Hear it.
Some of those white Southerners who were shocked would find a way to take care of their own.
Would find a way to take care of their own.
In 1955, J.W. Millam and Roy Bryant were charged with the brutal slaying of Emit Till in Money, Mississippi. As America pointed an accusing finger at the South, white Mississippians who'd previously decried the killing now circle their wagons.
Look.
They raised $10,000 for the accused legal expenses.
They raised $10,000 for the accused legal expenses. 2018, white devil cop shoots down an African person. White folks go online and raise thousands of dollars for him. Again, tell me where the shit has changed, everybody. I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. It's no effort for you to just draw and show that the shit is right now. This is 1955. They banded together and raised $10,000 for these assholes. And by the way, that $10,000 was a lot more of a coin than 10 grand is today in 2018. That was a lot of money in 1955. $10,000? You was caked up, homie. Again, tell me where it changed, everybody. Tell me where it all got better. Tell me where it all just got better. It just all happened. Just all got better. Huh?
And 5 local lawyers volunteered to defend them.
5 local lawyers volunteered to defend them. Stop the video when I lie. What? I'm sorry, what? What happened? Huh? Hear that again.
Circle their wagons. They raised $10,000 for the accused legal expenses, and 5 local
Look,
lawyers
look,
volunteered.
a sea of people in the courtroom, everybody. Not just one or two. Oh, it's just a few white people. Not the one. Where's the good ones, everybody? Huh? Huh? There's a sea of them in there, just like when they had the lynchings and the burnings, a sea of them. Certainly more than you see in this courtroom. I mean, it would just be like, as far as the eye can see. Obviously, the courtroom can only hold so many people, but it's packed to the fucking rim. Huh?
White Mississippians who'd previously decried the killing
Look.
now circled their wagons. They
Huh?
raised $10,000 for the accused legal expenses, and 5 local lawyers volunteered to defend them.
Look. They don't give a damn that a 14-year-old boy was brutalized. They have been there daring justice to be done. Daring it. What am I missing?
During
take
the
a break.
testimony, Millam and Bryant brazenly admitted to kidnapping and beating the boy. And yet, the all-white jury deliberated for just 1 hour and acquitted them of murder. In 1955,
1 hour. They admitted it. In 1 hour, the jury acquitted them. Not guilty. Fast forward to the 1990s. You have the videotape of Rodney King being brutalized like some fucking animal. And an all-white jury says not guilty on every fucking cop. Where did it change, everybody? Where? When? Huh?
this was the way justice was meted out.
Look,
in
grinning.
the South.
The white power structure of the South, in effect, endorsed their activities by not prosecuting them when they committed crimes, or if whites sat on juries, they simply nullify the evidence.
That was going on all across this bitch. It makes me sick when they always try to make sound. It was just in the South. It was just in the South. Nah.
Just end up with find them not guilty. So they felt they had a license to kill.
In the South, white juries wouldn't convict, so they felt they had a license to kill. 2018. You know, juries typically, you see MSNBC, CNN, Fox. You know, juries typically just don't like to convict police officers. They have a license to kill. Tell me where the shit changed and when. Huh?
Sometime after the acquittal, Millam sold his story to Look.
And where are the good white people? Where are they at? Because in this last shot, there's little kids sitting there. Wonder how they're going to turn out. Think he was telling them, don't grow up and be a murdering satanic devil like your father. You think that happened? Huh? What about the heifer standing over his shoulders? Think she denounced him for what he did? Huh? Don't approach the throne. Don't ever do that.
Sometime after the acquittal, Millam sold his story to Look magazine. He admitted to an interviewer that he and Bryant had in fact shot Till in the head. But Emit Till's death would not go down as just another lynching.
People didn't forget it. It had just a galvanizing effect, particularly on the black population.
Dr. King would often say honor and suffering is redemptive, and there's power in innocent blood. The innocent blood of Emit Till exploded and hit the national consciousness in ways that was irreversible.
Nah, it was not irreversible because the shit didn't change. That's my point. Suffering is not redemptive. Jesse Jackson. And by the way, go and take a fucking language class. I can't. But here's the thing. It exploded on the national consciousness. You are never going to shame evil with righteousness. Do you understand what I'm telling you? You haven't, and you won't. Understand that. I'm over it. I need to take a break, everybody. And I'll queue up our next video. This does not take rocket science to see what I'm laying out here. You know, nothing has changed. Nothing. 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 You understand? White people are still doing the same shit they've always done. It's entrenched in all of them, so it doesn't matter what position they hold in the society. The judge in this case was just as involved as the murderers, as was the spectators in the courtroom, as the police. They're all one. You understand? One ball of hate. That's it. That's it. Because if they were so concerned in this, that where was the white rioting? Or it didn't even have to be rioting. Where was the white outrage after they were acquitted? Where was that at? Somebody bring me records of that. Somebody bring that. You see? Again, you have to deal in truth and reality, not fantasy and fiction. You can't. Do you understand? You can't. My God. Wow. There's no way in 2018 I should be able to point to anything that's similar to that. Or is the system or all the shit. I shouldn't be able to point to anything. But I could sit here the rest of this morning or whatever it is now and for the next months and not be done with current shit right now. Tell me when it changed, everybody. Tell me when it all got better. Tell me when that happened. I'd like to know it. Do you understand what I'm telling you? I'm going to keep this next video, everybody. First, I'm taking a break. We're going to see this. I think we have one. I see how many videos we have left. It might be two. Might be one. I think it's one. I don't know. Whatever. It'll just be a thing for you, like 30 seconds or something, and then the Jedi will be back, but I'm probably going to take like an hour, 30 minutes, something. I don't know. Whatever. I'll see you in a minute. Peace. Okay. Last segment, everybody. And I probably will try to do most of my editorial through the piece. That way we don't have to do a long summation at the end and we will be done. I remind you again, with any of my productions, no matter how long or short, you watch it when you can. You watch it in parts, whatever you got to do. But I'm never, ever, 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 damn it, ever going to sacrifice knowledge for time. That's a cheap trade-off and it's not worth it. And I'm so exhausted. And I have been since I started this video. As I told you, I was just going to just wait. Like, forget it, I'll do it tomorrow, I'm over it. But I'm putting in this time as a small act of my contribution in the memory of this young king. You know? And I dedicate this, every frame of it, every word of it, in my very presence, I dedicate it all to Emit Till. This is it says the untold story of Emit Till, of Emit Louis Till. It's a documentary from 2005, all right? So it's an hour and 8 minutes. We're going to get into it now. Anything that repeats or anything that we've seen in previous clips, we will just go past those. All right, because we don't need to be redundant. You know, no need for that. We don't mind. So yeah, let's get into this now.
Emmett was born the 25th of July, 1941. And it was a very difficult birth. He was a breech baby, and they had to get him turned around and so forth and so on, which caused a whole lot of misery and pain. He was the happiest baby in the world. It looked like he said, "Free at last, I'm here, I'm free." And nothing fazed him. By that I mean you didn't have to hold him and rock him and pet him. If you gave him that bottle, or made sure he was dry, you could put him in his bed and he would lie there and kick and coo and for hours. As he grew up, it was more like we were sisters and brothers almost, because my mother raised him while I went to work. Brothers almost, because my mother raised.
They don't make them like that no more. You can see the wisdom in that woman. She knows everything. She knows everything. And you know, nowadays we have selfies and pics. And my grandmother used to have a term that they used to use back then called having pictures made. You see? And pictures were a big thing. They would get dressed up and it would be, you know, so she's in her best, her coif is done. That's a queen, right? That's the queen of queen mothers right there. Oh my God.
Raised him while I went to work. So it was like he was hers and I knew I was hers. And we had fun together. We laughed together. We never did much fighting until he and I moved alone. And it would become necessary to discipline him ever so often.
I don't know if prankster would be the right term or not, but I'll just give you an example of his fun-loving ways. Once we were in Chicago with him, and we were walking down 63rd Street in St. Lawrence, and he yelled out, "Here are my two big cousins from the suburbs. Nobody can beat them up." So we grabbed him up and shut him up right quick. So that was fun to him, but it wasn't so funny to us at the time.
Emit was mischievous. He liked to play, and he had no sense of danger. Everything was funny to him.
Wait, y'all, danger
And he
alert.
shot some firecrackers within the city limit, which was a no-no. He didn't do things like that, but to him, that was funny.
He was
Danger. Danger, devil alert. Listen. Oh my God, I can't. This is why my videos take so long, everybody. You understand? Because there's always a mountain of stuff that needs to be discerned. And we can't just let stuff go past us. We can't. I always tell you that whenever this enemy does anything, from the Kennedy assassination to just anything, any lie, any big event, anything, Mike Brown, his hands weren't up. They always come back, because they have to be right. They always come back sometime later, long after the event, to present something that's supposed to seem random and unattached, that always echoes what their position was to begin with. In this case, now, we know that the white whore recanted. I suggest to you that this was done before the recantation, but it doesn't matter, because this, what I just described to you, would still be in place. So that was to bring home that, yeah, he was guilty, which even if he did everything that she said, that still was not a crime, and it still didn't equal death for a 14-year-old, and overkill at that. But hear this now. Oh, you got to get up early and stay up
Very
late to pull
nice,
it over on the
intelligent
Jedi.
young man.
Some firecrackers.
Cousins from the suburbs.
Wait, that's where it
Nobody can
began.
beat them up. So we grabbed cousins from the suburbs.
Wait now.
And once we were in Chicago with.
Necessary to discipline him ever so often.
I don't know if prankster would be the right term.
I don't know if prankster would be the right term or not. That means that the interviewer, probably a devil, probably asked him, so was he kind of a prankster? And she's sitting there in a skirt up to nothing. He is the Reverend Wheeler Parker. Christian heart, not vigilant, not activist. You understand? No fight. Well, I don't know if prankster would be the word, but I'll just tell you. And then everybody in succession is talking about how he was this. And then the last one was, you know, he even set off fireworks in the city line, which was against the law, but he didn't care. Trying to bring home that he was this out of control little 14-year-old. Are you with me? Hear this now.
Not, but I'll just give you an example of his fun-loving ways.
Right. See, but I'll just give you an example of his fun. That means it was prompted. It must have been, because the successive interviews echo that was a question asked by the interviewer, and I'm sure we didn't produce this. Oh my God. You see why you can't just take one thing? We talking about Emit Till, the reopening of the case. You can't just stop at that. There's a mountain of stuff, a whole dossier of stuff that's in there that you've got to be able to weed out.
We're in Chicago with him, and we're walking down 63rd Street in St. Lawrence, and he's yelled out, "Here are my two big cousins from the suburbs. Nobody can beat them up." So we grabbed him up and shut him up right quick. So that was fun to him, but it wasn't so funny to us.
But it wasn't so fun to us, you see, as if he was just this wild, out of control teen. I can't.
Emit was mischievous. He liked to play, and he had no sense of danger. Everything was funny to him.
No sense of danger, and everything was funny to him, and they fade out into a picture of him.
He shot some firecrackers.
So that you can hear this now.
Within the city limit, which was a no-no. He didn't do things like that, but to him, that was funny.
But to him, that was funny. This is the, again, 1955 is 2018. This is the assassination of the character of this 14-year-old child. When you're 14, you think you're invincible anyway. So what? But they spin it and turn it into something evil, and that's the intent of this interview. I promise you. What is this now?
He was a very nice, intelligent young man. I call him a young man because...
Ruthie Mae Crawford. That's a good old black name. Ruthie Mae Crawford. She was his cousin.
He was at that age, you know. He was very intelligent. He was sweet, and he was lovely. He was...
Interesting that the person had very good things to say about him beside his mother. They put in witness protection. Do you see the conniving?
Very good in art, and he was very good in science.
Oh my God.
I don't know, he seemed to unravel that science like nobody's business. He was very good in spelling, too.
Jim Crow era.
The life for African Americans.
Life for African Americans. I'll pick it up. I just want to say this real quick, you guys. You not lost your mind. Obviously, I changed shit because after the last segment, what time was it? It was almost, the sun was about to start coming up. I'm just a man. I had to go face down. So I'm continuing this the next day, or the same day, but later in the day. And then, so also, You'll notice that on the previous video clips, I was playing them directly from YouTube. But in watching the playbacks between then and now, I wasn't pleased with the volume of the clips. I mean, you can hear them really well, you know, if you turn your volume up, and that's fine. And I was even pleased with the balance between me and the clip. Like when I speak, you can still hear me and hear the clip and all that stuff. But this one, since it's our final piece, I went ahead and just downloaded this to my computer so I could play it in my Windows media player so that I could get more volume out of it. So, just a little explanation of the technicals. Let's go.
In the South during Jim Crow was as close to a repressive regime as you could imagine. Blacks could not eat at public restaurants, couldn't rent hotel rooms, literally had to ride in the back of buses or public transportation.
We couldn't get a drink of water because how thirsty we were unless we found that colored water fountain.
That is Medgar Evers' brother. Mr. Charles Evers, brother of Medgar Evers. That's the brother-in-law of Merle Evers, y'all. I don't think I've ever seen him, and I've seen everything on civil rights.
We couldn't get a drink of water out of a fountain. Our school term was from 4 to 6 months a year, and we had no busing. There were no buses that bused us to school. We had to walk to school 3, 4, 5 miles, whatever, distance we lived from the school.
African Americans were forced to live in certain communities, and they had to develop within that community. And there was not much difference between segregation in the South and apartheid in South Africa.
No difference.
Life for blacks was one of seclusion and being in every way, shape, and form treated as less than human, less than equal.
Blacks in those days it was against the law to say yes and no to white folks. And if it didn't, then you could be beaten and even killed for saying yeah and not calling him by his name.
African Americans had no protection from the law because in most cases they could not vote. And if you cannot vote for the sheriff or the police officers or the mayor, then they do not have to loan any type of assistance to you. And therefore, the African American lived in this constant fear of something happening to them and they're not being able to react.
My brother was beaten almost to death in Jackson.
Strong, handsome king, shot down in his driveway, just steps from his children and his wife. That man's blood runs through my veins, do you understand? Along with Malcolm's, do you understand? And Martin, and everybody, and Fannie Lou Hamer, and anybody else you're gonna name, everybody that's come before me, their spirit I'm possessed by the spirit of these people. Absolutely, because they did it and it was just nothing. And they were willing to take on the sacrifice and the consequence. I've always been that since I came to Earth.
Because he went to Walgreens and sat down to have a...
This is in Walgreens, everybody, huh? Where's the good ones? Where's the good ones? Because every time we see mobs. So is this one mob of evil fucking white people just moving around different places, but they're the same mob and they're changing outfits and what's happening?
A Sunday or whatever you ordered.
And what do we see? Not fighting back. Yesterday is today, and today is yesterday.
They beat him almost on the muscle right here in Jackson. I guess I can't really describe how impoverished it was. No matter how wealthy you were as black, there weren't many wealthy people anyway, but those who had a little money, they were no different.
No matter how much money you had, you was no different. You see, recently we heard Chris Rock, there was some dust up about him being pulled over in his car, like by his house and something. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And we know Chris Rock has a coin. So, here's another one. Another one, as DJ Khaled says. We recall that when we saw Dr. Dre in handcuffs outside of his palatial $100 billion mansion practically in handcuffs. Huh? So it doesn't matter how much money you have. Again, nothing has changed. He's talking about 1955. Here we sit in 2018. Answer me again. When did the shit change, everybody? When did it change? When did all the bad white people die off? When did that happen? I'm sorry, when? Sorry, huh?
You're just another nigger.
Money in Mississippi.
My grandfather came to Chicago in 1955 to a funeral, and my mother and them allowed me to go back with him for vacation. And so Emit found out and he wanted to go. There were some questions of whether he should go or not, but they finally let him go.
Oh, that day will live in infamy, so far as I'm concerned. I got up that morning, and for some reason we couldn't get out of that house. We were supposed to meet Moses down at 12th Street Station. We could hear the whistle blowing as we got to the steps. He tore up the steps. I said, wait a minute. I said, you didn't kiss me goodbye. Where are you going? How do I know I'll ever see you again? And he said, oh, Mama, he really scolded me. And
that was the spirit, everybody, of the ancestors. That was the whisper from the Creator, was giving them a moment. Was giving them a moment. I've had moments, profound moments in my life that make me able to relate to this. And maybe many of you have too. But she's describing the last time she saw her son. Hear what happened. She happens to say, I don't know if I'll see you again. You know, and then she says he scolded her. He had never scolded her like that before.
I'll ever see you again. And you said, oh, Mama, he really scolded me. And I wondered why I said a dumb thing like that. But he turned around, came back, he gave me the kiss, and then he gave me his watch. He said, here, take this watch. I won't need it where I'm going. And I said, okay, I'll wear it. I put it on. And I said, what about your ring? Because I'd given him his daddy's ring. First time. He said, well, I'm going to show this off to the fellows.
They always kind of prep you for going to Mississippi, made you very aware of what could happen and what the South was like. And so I was very much aware of what could happen while we were in Mississippi. And I don't know if Emit was told or not.
That summer when Emit and Wheeler arrived, it was the beginning of the cotton harvest time. During the day, we would pick cotton all day.
Just an education, everybody. Again, this is why it takes long to get through the Jedi's videos, because I am thorough. I'm a thorough man, and as thorough as the Creator will allow me to be. And so we just can't let that go past you. So there may be people that are wondering, how come they out there picking cotton in 1955? Because there was, remember, after we were freed, I'm over it, then there was sharecropping. So you could still live on the plantation and still work the plantation just like you did when you was a slave. But now they shared some of the profit with you. Not they gave you a fair fucking price, because it's the fucking white man you're dealing with. But alas, and I've said to you many times, my father grew up on a plantation. My grandmother was and my grandfather were sharecroppers. This is not ancient fucking history. I'm my father's seed. I sit here in 2018. This shit ain't old. But that's why they're out there picking cotton in 1955, why he's talking about picking cotton.
Hey, I wasn't old enough really to pick cotton. Emit wasn't either. So we just played around in the field most of the time.
We picked cotton all day. After the The weighing up, well, after we finished picking the cotton, we had our supper. Then we decided to go to the little country store. From the country store, we went up to Money. That's where we met other boys, and the checker game was going on.
When we got to the store in Money, Bryant's store, I went in and I don't know what I purchased, but I spent some money. And as I was in the store spending my money, Emit Till came in. So I left out and left him in the store.
When he came out, that's when they sent me in to make sure that he didn't say anything out of line. Now, what he said inside the store, I don't know before I got there.
He asked for 10 cents to get 10 cents worth of bubble gum. He put the money into her hand. Just like that. And she jerked her hand back. So that was it.
He and I left the store together.
Okay, I believe witness protection. I believe her. God damn it, it's witness protection. I believe her. And that sounds right. You see, based on all knowledge known. Again, knowledge converging. So, they said that the one was coming out, and he was going to go in to tell him, you know, make sure you didn't do nothing wrong while he was in there. But that half a second he was in there by herself, this white bitch acted out and made something out of nothing. Out of absolutely nothing. You see what I'm saying? I don't care what you tell me. This bitch should be under the jail. Actually, she should have accessory to murder with special circumstances just for being a lying whore. And for causing the death of this young 14-year-old and robbing his young life.
We didn't have any conversation with Mrs. Bryant. We left together. She came out of the store and went to her car, which was parked on the north side of the store. And as she was going to her car, that's when Emit whistled at her. The famous wolf whistle.
Yes, he whistled at Carolyn Bryant when she came out of the store.
Okay. These are his family members, and they're saying he whistled. He didn't grab the bitch, he whistled.
No one knew that he was going to whistle. And when he whistled, it scared everybody in the bunch. And when he saw our reaction, he got scared.
Miss Bryant came out, and she was going to her car.
They want this again, especially white women, because they are no longer held up as the ultimate it of beauty, which they never have been. But they're not being held up. And so they look around at other cultures and they realize they're inferior. So they want this to come back. That they're so precious that to even look at them could cause your death and all the bullshit. You see, let's not be fooled, everybody. You're still dealing with the same damn people right now.
And someone said that she's going for a gun.
We all panicked, including Emit. We jumped in the car, and when we got in the car just wasn't moving fast enough.
And we sped down the gravel road, and we looked behind us, and there's a car behind us. So we thinking that they're after us. So we pick up some speed, pull to the side of the road, and jump out of the car. And we ran down through the cotton field. And as we ran through the cotton field, the cotton bolls were kind of green. They were hitting our legs, and some of us fell over each other, and the car went right on by. So we said, well, nothing to that. And Emit Till begged us not to tell our grandfather what happened, and we didn't.
Our neighbor, Rutha Mae Crawford, she told us that we was going to hear some more about that. And I didn't think nothing of it, because I'd never heard of anything like that before.
3 days had gone by, and this girl told us, Ruth told us, hey, you guys are going to hear some more about this.
We had heard this colored man said that they was going to get him. That's how we knew to go back to tell Mose Wright to take the boys to Grenada to the train station, put them on the train. He didn't do it.
So actually we forgot about it. We were 16, 12, 13, 14, 16 years old. So we went to Greenwood.
We all said, well, we going to town. We had picked some cotton and made some change. And my older brother said, well, I'm going to take y'all to Greenwood. I carried them all to Greenwood.
Greenwood.
Bought them a little wine.
Greenwood, Mississippi. Okay. Oh, this is in YouTube.
Around 12 or 12:30, I brought him back out.
Then about 2:30 in the morning, thereabout, I could hear people outside talking, and they talking about Emmett, and they talking about the boy from Chicago. They didn't say Emmett. They said there's a fat boy from Chicago, and they told my grandfather they wanted to talk to him.
I looked out the windows just like daylight, and I said, my Lord, I said, look at the cars. But I didn't know where they was going. So at the time, I could see this black man get out of the car, went to the back, and the white went to the front.
This is Mose Wright. I am the uncle of Emit Louis Till. Sunday morning, about 2:30, someone called at the door. And I said, who is it? And he said, this is Mr. Brian. I want to talk with you and the boy. And when I opened the door, there was a man standing with a pistol in one hand and a flashlight in the other hand. And he asked me, did I have two boys there from Chicago? I told him I have. And he said, I want the boy that done all that talk.
So they came to my room first, and they had a pistol in one hand, a flashlight in the other, and they looked on me, and Maurice was in bed with me, and they recognized that Maurice or myself, we weren't the one that they were looking for. So they passed on through the house to the third room where Emit was in the bed with Simi.
And so we marched on around through two rooms, and I found the boy in the third room in the bed with my baby boy.
I hear this noise in the bedroom, and I look up and I see this Roy Bryant. I knew him. And I saw the other tall, bald-headed man. They was hollering and fussing. They told me to lay back down and go to sleep. But I kept my eyes open and saw what was going on, that they was going to take Emit. And at that point, I didn't know where they was going to take him. I said, well, maybe they're going to take him home.
They aroused him out of the bed, and I don't think he really knew what was going on. So he was answering their question, but he wasn't saying yes, sir, and no, sir. And so they became irate about that, and they started cursing and swearing. And I think he wanted to put on his socks or something with his shoes, and it was a terrifying experience. He had no idea what was going on, really. Yeah, had no idea the kind of people that he was dealing with, he was faced with. He had no way of conceiving what the South was like, no kind of way.
And then, so the question is, when this white devil shows up your door, why don't you blow his fucking head off? Why didn't that happen? How is he allowed to come in your house and roam through and get a child out of bed and take him out into the night? Do you understand what I'm telling you? My question is rhetorical because that shit still exists today. And that is a problem. I hear motherfuckers all the time say, I couldn't have been no slave because I would have fought back and this, that. Well, your bitch ass ain't fighting back now.
In the room, my mom, she offered them money not to take the boy. And that's when Roy kind of hesitated. But Marlon wouldn't have nothing of it.
One hesitated. See what I'm saying? Because their God is a coin. You see? Oh, money.
He had made up his mind. He was the one with the gun. He had a .45 in his hand. And he was calling the shots. And he claimed that he was just going to take him up the road and just whip him and turn him loose. That's what he said he was going to do.
They were telling my grandfather if he's not the one, they was going to bring him back. And they left. And after they left, nobody said anything to anybody.
And they marched him to the car, and they asked someone there, well, this is the right boy. And the answer was, here. And they drove towards money.
After they left, Mama was very upset. And Daddy was walking around, all he could see is, he was saying, That's all he could say.
I do know that you don't whistle at a white woman in Mississippi. And I was praying that they didn't kill him. I wasn't going to kill him. Just maybe torture him a little bit and bring a kid back to his grandfather.
When I'm laying there in the bed, waiting for them to bring him back. Every car that I would hear coming down the road, I thought it was them bringing him back. But then when it began to get turned towards dawn, I knew they weren't going to bring him back.
What is their sense of revenge? Where?
I know one thing, he was sad. That was the saddest day I ever seen in my life. Ooh, Lord, that was sad. I felt for Bobo, Mama. I really did. Everybody down that road cried.
Mo's right locked on the door and said they're taking my boy. Well, I told him we could go and look for him. We went up to Munnings and we come back. And then Mose told me ain't nothing else we could do. Just sit and wait.
I was sound asleep at 9:30. And I guess I slept about a couple hours. And it was Willie Mae telling me that those men had come and taken Bo away from my uncle's house, her father's house.
As I was walking, I saw a green 1955 Chevrolet truck. And I saw, which there was a 5 people. There was really 5 people. And there was two Tay Collins, Herbert, and I'm sure it was Emit Till, and the Marlon and Bryant, they was in the cab of this truck. And so as I go up, before I could get to the barn, I could hear this beating, and I could hear this crying, I could hear this beating, I could hear this crying. So I kept walking. Then I had to go up and see, walked up and told Miss Mandy about it. I said, Miss Mandy, I said, they beating somebody in that barn. So she said, I'll tell you one thing what we do. So let's walk back up that way. So me and Miss Mandy, which we did, we came back up there. And there was a well there, and I turned the well on, and I'm going to get me some water. At that time, I could look. I can see J.W. Marlon came up. He had a green shirt on, khaki pants, and a 45 on his side. So he asked me, did you hear anything? I said, did you hear anything? I said, no. I said, I didn't hear anything. A human being just being beat by white folks like this here, by beaten about this, Even maybe some of the black brothers could have been in there. Because I know I saw them on the truck, but I didn't see them at all after they got in that barn. The only thing I saw was that truck. Could have been them. And just by going, listen to it, it's something, it's really something. It hurts you. You don't forget. These things I will never forget.
The night of Emit Till murder, which we didn't know he had been murdered that night, in the middle of the night, my sister and I was lying up in the window trying to get some air, and we saw this fire in a barrel in back of J.W.'s house. And we woke our parents up. And my father walked out the back door and stood on the porch and he came back in and said there's a fire at J.W. Marlon house in the barrel. They was burning something up.
2 days later, Emit Till's body is discovered in Tallahassee River, bound with barbed wire to a 70-pound cotton gin can.
The sheriff came and told me they had found the body at Phillip and wanted me to go and identify the body, which I did. and we found the body with didn't have on any clothes at all. The body was so badly damaged that we couldn't hardly just tell who he was, but he happened to have on a ring with his initials, and that cleared it up.
I was at home and Mose Wright called me and said they done found the body. And I want to go down there and identify his body. And I carried him down there. And when I carried him down there, the smell was so bad till I got about 5 or 6 feet from the body. And Mose Wright went up there and pulled his ring off and said, "That's him." And then Mose Wright said his tongue been cut and pushed back in his mouth, and his private had been cut off.
When I heard that Emit had been found and had been murdered, everybody just fell to pieces.
Well, there was shock, sadness, anger, and almost unbelief, you know. But it was a strange feeling. Strange feeling.
To me, it's like he never died. I never had any sorrow or remorse because I always thought inside that I would see him again. I don't know if I was in a state of shock or what, but when I heard they found his body, it's like, find whose body? He's not dead. I went to the funeral, same thing, you know.
I found out about it 9:30 Sunday morning. I was in bed. I got up, called my mother when I got the news, because I had every decision I had ever made or every crack that I had ever been in, it took her to get me out of it. And I took that one to Mama too, because I didn't know what to do. Mother told me to come right over and she would start making calls. And I got over there as quickly as I could make it. And that wasn't very long.
By now, everybody is they're screaming, they're falling out. And I ran over to try to help my mother. And I felt such a vibration coming from her to me until I jumped back, because it seemed that I was going to take her life away from her. It seemed that her life was draining into me, and I could feel myself building up, getting strong enough to carry on. Sheriff Strider wanted an immediate burial because he knew that it wouldn't be good for the state of Mississippi for people to see what had happened to Emit Till. And the only way you could stop people from seeing was to bury it. I mean, get it out of sight. I don't know what authority he had to bury my son, but he took that authority.
We were told to meet at the church. We're going to have a funeral today. We're going to bury the body. We all went to the church that day. The grave was dug. The body was there in a pine box. It had an awful stench to it. And we was getting ready to put the body in the ground when we got word to stop the burial.
Oh my God. Number one, when I first saw that box, I just collapsed. That box seemed to me to be as bigger than anything I'd ever seen before. But that was just the beginning. The size of the box was really the easy part. When I discovered that the box could not be opened, then I wondered, what on earth in the world is going on? You mean to tell me that I have spent all of this money to get a body that I can't even look at? How do I know what's in the box?
Okay. Funeral director A. Rayner is prohibited from opening the box. Right. Funeral director was told not to open it. I'm over it.
I said, Mr. Rayner, do you have a hammer? He said, what do you mean? He said, yes, I have a hammer. I said, I mean, if you can't open the box, I can. And I'm going in the box. All right. He said, Miss Bradley, if you're that determined, I want you to go home and relax. He said, I'll go in the box and I will call you when I take the body out of the box. And when I was satisfied with that. I had to see, though, what was in there. And when I got back to, when he called me and I came back to the funeral home, about 3 blocks away, an odor met me
This part we seen in the
that nearly knocked me out. I said, what? Looked at the bridge of his nose and said, do you want me to end? And assured them that they would be able to hear the funeral services.
Hero would mean more to
her. But she somewhere found the strength to say, I'll bear my pain to save some other mother from having to go through this. And because she put the picture of this young man's body on the conscious.
And for him to have died a hero would mean more to me than for him just to have died.
Trying to get into the church to have the funeral was nearly mission impossible. I had to address the crowd on the way in and assure them that they would be able to hear the funeral services, and when we had finished, we would leave and the church would be open for them to continue to view the body.
I went to the funeral, I saw the body of Emit, and it's like it wasn't him, you know. I can't explain it. It was like, this is not Emit, you know. So I didn't feel any sorrow, you know, because inside I'm going to see him again, you know. That's the way I felt. That's not Emit.
People sort of can deal with things they don't have to look at, but it's hard to view a corpse and turn your head. And it was like in your face, you're going to deal with this time. And that's why Generations Unborn owe Miss Mobley a lot, because she was able to graphically bring home what 1,000 speeches couldn't bring home. She made America deal with its ugly racial problem.
America deal with it. Do I do this fainting? Are you serious? Oh my God, never. The assholes were arrested for kidnapping American.
We are doing all we can do to investigate the Till murder. We have made a complete investigation and plan to go as far as possible in the prosecution of the case. I may add that we have had the full cooperation of all the white and colored citizens of Lafleur County.
It's my opinion that the guilt begins with Mrs. Bryant, and I want to see Mrs. Bryant punished, her husband, and any other persons that were in on this thing. And I feel like the pressure should start from the President of the United States and be channeled all the way down to the township of Money, Mississippi. And I'm certainly of the opinion that inasmuch as my son had to die, that I don't want his death to be a vain thing. If it can further the cause of freedom, then I will say that he died a hero.
I appreciate that. She said it needs to start with that lying whore. Damn it.
President of the United States, Mr. Dwight D. Eisenhower, White House, Washington, D.C. Honorable Sir, we the undersigned women and mothers and members of District 1, UPWACIO, call upon you, President of the United States, and your Congress to enact federal anti-lynch and anti-poll tax legislation immediately. The brutal lynching of Emit Till, one of the most barbaric atrocities committed against a child in the history of mankind, demands prompt federal intervention for the prosecution of all persons responsible for this heinous crime.
I remind you, these are the same people who wanted you to be outraged when those 4 black teenagers had that white kid in a house and did absolutely nothing to him. But they tried to make it seem like it was almost at the level of goddammit Emmet Till or something, the way that they reacted about it. You see what I'm saying? I can't. Again, there's no equivalent evil on the earth other than their shit. There isn't. There isn't. And they will always try and roll out these false equivalents to try and make themselves feel better. That's their own fucking vomit they have to swim in. We don't have any party to that. We don't have no responsibility to that at all. Let them drown in their own spit. Period. But isn't it interesting?
We strongly urge you, Mr. President, to call a special session of Congress in order to recommend immediate passage of federal anti-lynch and anti-poll tax laws. Only in this way can we be assured that other Negro Americans will not meet a similar death. Responsibility for federal safeguards against lynching rests with the President and his Congress. The lynching of Emmet Till demands immediate recognition of that responsibility.
The headlines began to appear that Emmet Till's mother would attend the trial. And when that message made headlines, people began to send me mail by the bushel. They, dirty pictures, pictures of male organs.
White people, you see, and the same shit they do now. I don't care what nobody says. There's been no change. Wherever they come from, whatever their origin, the white man is the devil. And his evil is the same. This is the same fucking person you're dealing with today. Everything, we know everything she's saying. Everything we've seen in this whole production. We know it. So as soon as she starts, as soon as the work until she's attending the funeral or attending the trial, then she starts getting all these fucking white people just, so where are the good ones, everybody? That's why you can't play this game that there's good ones. There isn't. There isn't. And if there are, they live on some other fucking planet that we don't know about. Look at the vile stuff she's saying she was sent.
On the newspaper that they were sending me. And sometimes it was very difficult to read the article. And then they would write different stuff on top of the print, such as bombing my house and Mayor Daley's house if I attended that trial.
These people just crawl back to a hole someplace? No, they're right here, right now.
My son got just what he deserved. And that was...
We've heard that. Trayvon Martin got what he deserved. Mike Brown got what he deserved, and all the shit. You see what I'm saying? This the same fucking people, everybody. Ain't nothing changed. Nothing has changed. Nothing. Nothing. Damn it. Nothing. These are still the same damn people doing the same damn shit. That's it. And they will do it until the end of time, or until God sees fit to finally rid the fucking earth of their fucking scourge. That I know for sure. If you didn't know this in 1955 and it's in color and everything, you'd have no idea. Everything she's saying is right now.
Another nigger gone.
This is Mrs. Alma Spearman, the grandmother of Emit Till. Have you had any letters, telephone calls, things like that?
A number of letters and many telephone calls.
What do they say?
Well, they threaten us with the...
See, now this is White Devil playing White Devil because why would you go and ask? This is just because they need, this is to stroke the motherfuckers that's sending her the shit. They want to know she got it. So White Devil fucking reporter goes there like he's innocent, but there's no innocent ones. And he is fucking, now, and what did they say? The devil. You understand?
Words of the, like niggers and...
I need a break.
Savage or uncivilized people, or people that want to be ornery and want to press our charge, whether it be right or wrong. We've even been threatened that our house would be bombed.
I think this is one of the worst and the brutalest incident ever happened in Mississippi since I've been here.
Fuck you. Is that White Devil? What the fucking thing he's saying?
And the colored people is awful depressed over it.
It was because it was a boy that they went there.
But look. 1955, even going all the way back. This is 1955. Roy Wilkins, he's the executive director of the NAACP. Every fucking body that's been the head of the fucking NAACP has been light bright, damn near white. Every fucking one of them.
Had to prove that they were superior. They had to prove it by taking away a 14-year-old boy.
Dear God, please destroy this country today.
You know, it's in the virus. It's in the blood of the Mississippian. He can't help it.
I'd like for the NAACP or any colored organization anywhere to know that we are here giving all parties a free trial and intend to give a fair and impartial trial. And we don't need the help of the NAACP, and we don't intend for them to help. We never have any trouble until some of our southern niggas go up north and the NAACP talk.
Listen to that. We don't have no problem until our niggers go up north and come back. Oh my God.
Talk to them and they come back home.
I can't.
There were little jars for people to drop money in stores, in the drugstore, and the dry cleaners, and commercial places in the town of Sumner for the defense of the two men accused of the murder. And I must say it was a strange, eerie feeling and very uncomfortable feeling to see these little jars of money being collected to defend two men who, it seemed, understood were the murderers.
What are the exact charges brought against Roy Bryant and Jake?
Wait now, and think about that. They were in stores and businesses and all the stuff, so that means the people that ran those businesses had to be okay with that as well. Collusion. White collusion.
Mr. Chatham.
The further indictment is that they did willfully, unlawfully, feloniously, out of their malice aforethought, kill and murder Emit Till, a human being.
Is there any other charge brought against these men, Mr. Smith?
Yes, charge of kidnapping.
Is there any further description of that charge?
No.
What possible penalty under the law is there in this kidnapping case?
It could carry the death penalty just then.
Me and Mo Wright went to the trial. So when we got there, he went in, and I got about 10 feet from the door. So I see I couldn't get in, and I walked over to where Marlon and Brant was. And Brant said, "John, I didn't do it. Marlon done it." I said, "Well, somebody done it." He said, "Marlon done it, John. I didn't do it."
The atmosphere in the courtroom at that time, there was like a lot of talking and a lot of excitement. And people coming in and out, especially the day that Mamie showed up. It was everybody, the reporters and running and hollering that Mamie Bradley is here.
What do you intend to do here today?
To answer any questions that the attorneys might ask me to answer. To the best.
How do you think you could possibly be a help to them?
I don't know. I mean, just by answering whatever questions that they ask me.
I see. Do you have any evidence bearing on this case?
I do know that this is my son.
I remember the first day of the trial. Every window was filled with a father and his son or sons. And as I would come up the steps, they would aim the guns at me, and they would pull the triggers, and the little caps would pop, and they would say, "Bang, bang, bang." And the fathers, they thought this was the cutest thing. And the little guys were just firing away.
See, and again, this is why they try so desperately to make you think this was just in the South. Because when you see any of these images you see, it's all of them. Ain't no good white people. It's all of them. So they want to make you believe they're just in the South. I'm telling you, this is the nature of all of them. This is everywhere across this damn country and anywhere they exist and breathe on this damn earth. I don't have any evidence to the contrary. Period. There he is, a murderer, and he's just playing with his kids as if it's nothing. And the lying whore is sitting right over here. I can't, dude. Demonic are these damn people. Demonic.
Well, you know, the hair on my neck and down my back was just standing straight. It was a frightening experience.
The reporters who were there were shocked and kind of astonished at finding this situation in which it seemed that everybody, the people in the town, knew that these men had murdered this Negro boy. That, of course, was the term at the time. And at the same time, they did not want the murderers to be punished.
See?
I mean, that was the sort of the civic attitude. There was great hostility.
And like I say, they were there daring justice to be done. Daring it. Daring. Like he said, they all knew that they was damn guilty. But they still didn't want to be found guilty.
To the reporters who were, as the local people put it, making a big thing of this.
The highlight of the trial so far has been the dramatic testimony of Uncle Mose Wright. In court, he dramatically pointed at the two defendants, Roy Bryant and J.W. Milan, and said that they were the two men who came to his house on August the 28th and took the boy away. Old Mose said he never saw the boy alive again.
It may have been one of the most moving moments of the trial when Moses Wright stood as straight as an arrow and spoke clearly and firmly his testimony that indeed these were the men who had taken the boy from his house.
He stood up, he pointed his fingers at him, said, "That's him," which pointed at Mila. And that was, oh my, that was quite a moment then. Because you had the grabs, you had the people rumbling and grumbling, and we later found out that blacks didn't do that in Mississippi.
He was willing to put himself at risk. He was not going to lie. He was not going to back down. He was not going to be intimidated. And you had to really admire the courage of somebody who, despite being brought up in that culture and a culture really of slavery, would defy the mores by insisting on telling the truth.
You got to remember now, back in those days, it was suicide almost for a black man, a black person, to go in a courtroom talking about testifying against a white man, because the whole court was white.
Ruby Hurley, Amzie Moore, and Medgar Evers at the trial. They came to the trial every day. Sometimes Amzie Moore and Medgar were out looking for witnesses, or Medgar was busy escorting Moses Wright to and from the courtroom safely because his life was being threatened every minute.
Medgar was the one who actually was on the scene and went to money and went to places trying to get information around. Now Ruby Hurley, and this is not going to think nice from Ruby, because Ruby, like most of the big shot NAACP folks, they sat back in their outer offices in Atlanta and New York and did nothing but direct. But Amzie Moore joined Medgar and went and investigated, and they're the one who were taking all the chance of being killed themselves.
Attorneys have told us that the new state witnesses, and they have also questioned,
look at the devils.
Will talk about
where's the good ones,
guns
everybody?
Shed. Is that correct?
Where's the good ones? That's everyday Joe, white devil standing around. You see what I'm saying? Where the good ones? Where they at? Let's see that again.
The defense attorneys have told us that the new state witnesses, and they have also questioned, will talk about hearing groans from a shed. Is that correct?
Yes, they will. Will that definitely establish the time and the place of the actual crime?
It won't establish the time and place of the actual murder, but it will connect the defendants with the crime. Did any of these witnesses see the defendants at the scene of the shed? Yes, one of them.
When they called me to take the stand, and I took the stand, and then they asked me these questions, about about the one that did the murder, did the killing. Do you see do you see him in court? I said, yeah. Was he in here? I said, yeah. He said, would you go over there and point him out? Smile and this is Brian. They were sitting right there.
What they did to me when I was on the stand was just unconscionable. They tried to make me confess that I had conspired with others to get double indemnity on Emit's 5-cent and 10-cent policies. When Carolyn Bryant made her testimony, I was not in the courtroom. They had me in another room. They didn't want me influenced by the witness, I guess. But when I heard the story, I knew for two reasons that was a lie. Number one, Emit's speech impediment under stress would not allow him to get these things out. And number two, the respect that I had put into him for womankind and for mankind.
he just wouldn't come off that way. When I saw the antics that were going on in the courtroom, I could tell that everything was against us.
Look.
And when the jury retired to render their verdict, I noticed that the black people who were lining the walls and the backs of the room, they were quietly leaving the courtroom. And I knew then that they knew we were not going to get a guilty verdict. And I said to my party, it's time for us to go. Congressman Diggs said to me, and miss the verdict? I said, this is one you don't want to hear. The verdict is not guilty. To satisfy me, they agreed to leave. And I guess about 45 minutes away from the courtroom, the verdict came in, not guilty.
Where's the good ones? Look at this bitch.
How do you folks feel now that...
All of this because of a lying white whore. All of this, the death of a 14-year-old and all of it, because of this lying bitch.
It's all over. Roy, how about you? I'm just glad it's over with. J.W.? I am too. Mrs. Bryant,
Feel fine.
how about you, Mrs. Miles? Did you expect this verdict? Well, I was hoping for it.
Look at this bullshit.
Well, the whole trial was just a farce, but the verdict was the one that I had expected to be given.
Do you feel that all the witnesses were brought into the case?
No, two of the witnesses were being held in protective custody in Sheriff Strider's jail in Charleston.
My first reaction when I saw that they come in and said not guilty was unbelief, anger, revenge. And one of the reasons I went back home was we had two guns.
That's what I'm
I
talking
just
about.
had the idea, hey, we could fight it out.
That's what I'm talking about.
My only problem was there was no gun for me. But I wanted revenge. I carried a chip on my shoulder for many years.
It was obvious that they had no trouble deciding that they were to let these men go free. And I later heard that, in fact, the reason it even took an hour, or whatever hour so it took, was that they simply were trying to be correct about the way they delivered their answer. But the answer was a foregone conclusion.
And then when they interviewed the foreman of the jury, he said, it wouldn't have taken us that long, but they told us to make it look good. So we had some soda pop and beer and waited a little while, and then we came back with our verdict.
You never expect anything but for them to be acquitted, because that's Mississippi during that time.
When they acquitted Marlin and Bryant, it crushed my dad. He just couldn't take it anymore. He came home that day and said, boys, we got to leave. We can't stay here. Basically, we had no law back in '55 in relation to black and white killing each other.
Mr. Wright, the trial has been over for a week now. How do you feel about it after thinking it over?
I don't have any.
Were you surprised, or did you expect the verdict as acquittal?
I was thinking going just what I could do.
You weren't surprised with the verdict?
It didn't surprise me.
When did you come to Chicago?
Monday night.
Why did you leave Mississippi, Mr. Wright?
Well, after Friday night, those men came to my house, but I just wasn't satisfied no more with that. I just got willing and ready to leave, and I left this as quick as I could.
Men came to your house?
Friday night, 2.
What did they say?
Well, I'm going to bed, and I got restless through the night, and I got up and got in my car and went out to the church and stayed all night in the car. And a friend of mine told me that he was passing going home, said the car drove up in my yard and 2 white men was in it. And they got out the flashlight, just flashing all around the house, looking around the house. Of course, I didn't know anything about it, but I was just got restless through the night. And the next morning, I got up and went up to the house and just pulled of the crop a little I had there, and I just got in ready to leave right now. And I just wanted to
go back for the kidnap trial.
So I go back to that. I promised the sheriff I'd do that, and so if I live, I'm going back. But after being I'm through with Mississippi forever and ever.
There are 2 kidnapping statutes in Mississippi. One carries a 10-year maximum in the state penitentiary. The other statute, which is patterned more or less after the federal Lindbergh statute, as we commonly refer to it, carries a maximum of death sentence. The grand jury will be advised of the existence and of the terms of both statutes, and it will be their province to determine which, if either, of the statutes that they choose to indict.
That me and Mr. Moore, right, we went there, we didn't see them at the kidnapping trial. We saw them at the trial, but not at the kidnapping trial. They wasn't even there. That's crazy. And that point, how long did it last? No more than 15, 20 minutes. What? We was out of there.
The 4-county Mississippi grand jury at Greenwood adjourned just a short while ago and did not return an indictment in the Emit Till kidnapping case.
Look at that bullshit.
That's the only comment I'm authorized to make this time.
You got them on kidnapping. You're looking at them. How can you say not guilty?
I am Sidney Carlton of Sumner, Mississippi, one of the lawyers for J.W. Milam and Roy Brown. Represented them in the murder trial recently in Sumner, Mississippi. I've just received information that the grand jury of Lafleur County returned a no true bill against them with the charge of kidnapping of Emit Till in Lafleur County. Frankly, I think that this is a result primarily of the interference in Mississippi and Mississippi affairs by outside interests, and a result of the NAACP and their activities in trying to make something big out of just an ordinary criminal affair in Mississippi. After the trial some 5 or 6 weeks ago now, we're still receiving in the Daily Mail threatening letters from all over the United States saying that justice was not done when no fair-minded jury in New York, Chicago, Detroit, San Francisco, or anywhere else would have convicted these 2 men on the scanty evidence which was produced.
Look magazine pumps a confession. They agreed to tell their stories for $4,000, I think they meant. $4,000.
I know that Milam and Bryant had help when they murdered Emit Till. Number one, they recruited a black boy, Leroy Too Tight Collins. He was seen on the truck restraining Emit. That was the purpose of his being there. And I heard later that he told the 2 men that he was having difficulty restraining Emit, and they stopped and picked up another guy.
At the time of Emit Till's death, I was 13 years old. And me and my friends was walking down the streets, and we walked up and to the truck that Too Tight and Jimmy Lee was washing out. And I asked him what was the blood from, and he told me that It was from a deer they killed that night. But later on I found out that it was not a deer. It was Emit Till's blood.
J.W. Milan told my father they picked Emit Till up, and they was going to kind of like rough him up or beat him up a little bit and let him go. That was his story. But Roy and Kimball really beat him bad, and things just really got out of hand. That was his story, but we know better. And beat him up so bad till he asked Leroy Too Tight Collin and gave him the gun and told him to shoot him and get him out of his misery.
My name is Henry Law, and I was supposed to have been involved with Emit Till murder, but I wasn't. And I still can't figure out why they would have me involved in that. And I know nothing about it, no more what was told. This woman named Mary, she came up, she said, y'all heard about what happened last night? I said, no. And they said, yeah. I said, J.W. and them went over to Mondays and killed a boy and put him in the river. It wasn't a river, Black Bow. So I said, no, we ain't heard nothing about that. And so she said, said Too Tight said, that shoe laying down, I said, that's a shoe that boy had on. So they went to this boy's grandparents and asked about him. Said, his granddad said, he's in there asleep. Said, what's wrong with him? So well, wake him up. We're going to get him out of there and take him and put him in the river down there. So he said, no. So don't, white folks don't do that. Now, that's what they say, he said now. Said, don't do that. So I'll, if you let him stay here in the morning, I'll put him on a bus and send him back to Chicago. So no, they said, no, we want him out of here now. And said, I don't want to lie, I think they said that one of them hit the old man, the boy's granddaddy. Said, I reckon he didn't want him to beat him up, either kill him. And they got him out of there. So, well, they said the boy was fighting him, but he couldn't whoop him all. That's what they said. Now, I'm putting that in the beginning that they said. Now, if I'd have been there looking at it, it'd have been a different story. So, but why, I still can't say. Can't figure out why would they have me involved, and I know nothing about it.
I believe that if people are still alive and there's evidence to connect them in any way, shape, or form to the killing or to knowledge of the killing or the conspiracy of the killing, they should be prosecuted right now. I don't care how old they are. I don't care their medical condition. If they're alive and was part of it, they ought to be dealt with. There is no statute of limitation to murder.
Thank you.
And people to say, well, it's years later, it doesn't matter. I think anyone that does this, if it's on their dying bed, they ought to die a convict and die condemned for participating in any way for what happened to Emit Till.
That's the damn truth. Well, 2003, she passed away without seeing justice for the murder of her son. In April, meetings between Kenneth Beecham and Emit Till Justice Campaign and the U.S. Department of Justice.
There are some crimes that are known as higher than simply civil rights, human rights crimes. And the whole human community needs to look in and ensure that justice is done. The clock does not stop on this question of justice.
This is an injustice that continues as long as the murderers are at large and subject to being punished, but not being pursued.
If y'all could stop talking for 1 second.
Please be quiet.
Because I think that this family should get much more respect than what we gave them. This is history right before us, and I think Letitia James, the council member, did an excellent job to bring it before us. This is one time we need to give somebody a standing ovation. This family has been through a lot, and we should accord them that respect.
Sons and the daughters of these devils. You see what I'm saying? The evil continues. It's a virus, constantly reproducing itself. You see what I'm saying? Just because they stand up, these are not fucking innocent ass people. This is acting, fakery.
Emit Till is emblematic of many such injustices that took place during that period and since. Down south and up south, Mississippi to New York, and to some extent what we're seeing still take place 50 years later. So it's very, very important that we not forget.
We need to bring this to the attention of the citizenry of the city of New York, and that all pressure be brought to bear to the Attorney General's office to get this case reopened.
All around America, they will follow this lead, and Ashcroft will hear that protest. This case will be reopened, and one day, Emit will rest in peace because justice will have then been done. Justice will have been served. Thank you.
He whistled at a white woman and ended up dead at the bottom of a river. The 1955 lynching of Emit Till was a key turning point in the civil rights movement. Now, nearly 50 years later, the Justice Department is reopening this case. A film called The
Now, that's when it was 50 years. Now it's 63 years. And again, we go back to where we began. Why? Why? Why now? Why?
Told story of Emit Louis Till helped renew interest in this case.
Now we'll go live to Washington, D.C. The Justice Department holding a news conference. They plan to reopen a murder investigation of a murder that's almost 50 years old and helped inspire part of the civil rights fight. Let's listen in.
I'm pleased to announce a federal-state partnership to investigate the murder of Emit Till. Federal prosecutors and FBI agents today are being assigned to investigate the Emit Till murder in partnership with the District Attorney's Office and local law enforcement. Their findings will serve as the basis for any possible prosecution. Emit Till unwittingly played a pivotal role in launching the modern civil rights movement. We owe it to Emit Till, we owe it to his mother and to his family, and we owe it to ourselves to see if after all these years, any additional measure of justice is still possible. Thank you.
Emit was the catalyst that started the civil rights movement. Because when people saw what had happened to this little 14-year-old boy, they knew then that not only were men, black men, in danger,
it's a problem,
but black children as well. And it took something to stir people up and let them know that we're either going to stand together or we're going to fall together. I do know that without the shedding of blood, there's no redemption. And I do know that the Lord appeared to me in a vision, and he told me that Emit was not mine, that he belonged to him, and that God had chosen him for this particular mission.
God bless her eternally. But on creation, I represent to you that the Lord did not appear to her, everybody. God is very clear about who he is and what he does. And he does not appear to his creatures. Period, the damn end. God love her, though. God love her. So, I thank all of you who have made it to the bitter end. And this has been a trial for me. Wow. But this is one of those pieces that will stand up, you know, because this is a story that needs to be known in its totality. And it's especially illustrative because it proves the duality of the times, that there is no separation, that there is no graduation or change due to the passage of time. Everything is still the same, you know. Grant you, the shit has grown moss on it, and it's got some bacteria, and there's, you know, and maybe some snow fell on it and everything, but when you pull all that back, that shit is still there. Still, and nothing has changed. Nothing. They have and continue to try to put this dressing over it now, the illusion, we call it, to give you the impression that time has made things different. And that's just not the truth. That's just not the truth. When you dig back to the very core and the fabric of current day society, this is exactly what you still find. It's all over this damn country like a virus. And we see an escalation of it, really, because of the paranoia now, because they are losing their numbers and have been forever. And they're already the minority, and that's the big secret they're keeping. But it's not a secret to me. I know what's really going on. I know it. I know it. I'm not tricked. I'm not fooled. I know what's going on. This is the same damn country in 2018 that it was in 1955. And in my assessment, white people are still the exact same. And not just in my assessment. That's what all the evidence shows. It's still the same. That's why it took us so long to get through this damn video. Because of the glaring consistencies with what is going on right now in 2018 as I speak to you. Same thing. Same thing. And the same people who continue to terrorize us since 1619 are still terrorizing us to this day. There are modern day Emit Tills out there that we just don't know about. We know that even as recently as last year, we've seen several lynchings. And those are just the ones we know about. And we've had the case of Kendrick Johnson. And then we've got Eric Garner. And you've got Mike Brown. And Sandra Bland. And Vondette Myers. And Alton Sterling. You can't name all of them. Philando Castile. You can't name them all. Because there's too many of them. There's too many. And there's no equal to the evil that is daily dispensed by these people. No equal. No equal. And they've sold you this day. Well, there's bad people in every race. No, fuck that. There's human error in every race, but there's only evil in one race. Inherent demonic evil. Spawn of Satan. Period. That we know for sure. So when you pull back the layers and you look deeper, you realize that the stench is still there. This is the Jedi.